Still unnecessary.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back
to the McDoncast, the funnest podcast in town,
the only podcast around.
Hey,
welcome back, everybody. We got a loaded show for you boys and girls today. We have lots of news. We got D23 news. We got National Cinema news. We got Cyberpunk news. We got Xbox news. We got Dan Lin news. We got Amazon, Pokemon, whatever Path of Legends is. Oh wait, no, that's
you
Pokemon.
wrote that one down. Sam.
I know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Max didn't recommend any news, and Patrick's not here once again. But with all that said, guys,
Patrick went to an orchestra concert.
He went to what was the name of the guy?
Let me look it
Daniel?
up. It's not a guy. It's an orchestra.
Yeah, it's an organization, but it sounds like a man.
He called it like Dan, or so, like their acronym is like Dan.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to Dan's concert, and we're like, who's Dan? And he goes, oh,
I'm going to the Phil concert.
Yeah, Phil.
Who's Phil?
I think...
No, their name is the Philharmonic Orchestra. But if you call something Phil, I'm going to assume it's a man named Phil.
If you tell me you're going to Phil's concert, I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, Phil.
Phil, my friend.
That's what? There's not much left in there. Alrighty, but hello everyone. Welcome. Hope you're having a great day. Get ready to sit back, relax, and chill with your friends here on the McDoncast. I just realized I didn't do the TV thing, but it's fine. Now
we're not going to have a backlight.
Well, yeah, to be fair, that just kind of made it worse.
It did make it worse.
All right.
Anyway,
let's start things off with number 5. Dan Lin will not be the DC Film and Television chief, as we confirmed last week, but I guess was wrong.
Last week, he was going to do it, and then he decided, never mind. So he was in like the final stages of negotiation. Everyone was on board. All the executives were like, all right, this is our guy. Dan Lin was like, I want this job. I'll do this job. And then he just decided, never mind. Apparently the main dispute was Dan Lin runs a company called Rideback, which is quite a prolific production company. Mm-hmm. And they were having trouble working out a deal because he still wanted to run that company, but also run DC. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't, like, they wanted him to do one or the other. He decided to stick with his own production company, Rideback, because they couldn't figure out a way for him to do both at the same time. That was the real reason.
Both? Like they didn't
Rideback
let him, or he couldn't.
Well, because Rideback was producing stuff for like other studios, and so what he wanted to do was have it so like Warner Brothers bought like a stake in his company, mm-hmm. and he was able to like still be involved, but they didn't want to do that because they don't want to spend any money right now. So that's probably why that didn't happen. We would like you
to head our entire media franchise, but we do not want to support you.
It's back to the drawing board for who's going to run this thing.
DC, we're still here. We'll do it for freaking free.
I wouldn't do it for free.
No.
I wouldn't do it. I would do it for like $10 million.
Oh, that's funny. I just noticed something. So when the button isn't being pressed, it says Tucker Cam. But when I press it, it says Stream Cam again. Even though it's your camera still, it's just the name changes for some reason.
That's cool, Sam.
Anyway.
No one knows what you're talking about.
Talking about the thing that switches our camera.
Anyway, so I 100% understand why no one would ever want this job in the world. Like, you think about if you were to be in charge of DC tomorrow, right? You have to deal with a studio that's essentially drowning itself, right?
They're so good at doing things.
That is almost completely broken, has angered hundreds and hundreds of employees and executives and creatives, right?
No, they all love them over there. That's their favorite. That's their favorite studio. DC. They love those guys.
Multiple film projects that are already complete with $100 million budgets that are filled with controversial actors that are hated in the public eye, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You have a universe itself that is completely disconnected and disjointed, with a million different perspectives and a million different franchise universes happening simultaneously. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And worst of all, you have an angry, essentially cult following you around everywhere, bullying you constantly, harassing you nonstop to restore the Snyderverse. So this is like lose situation for whoever gets this job.
You see, we'll do it for very cheap. We have never had a job in Hollywood. We will do it for so cheap. You'll be like, oh my gosh, couldn't believe we could get this done for that cheap. Hire us, DC.
We wouldn't do that good a job, but we'll do it.
We would definitely do a better job than you've been doing.
DC, but Warner Brothers has the problem where no one is willing to do this job, rightfully so. For no.
Yeah, well, if you set a boat on fire, it's going to be really hard to find a captain.
No, it's more like they set a boat on fire, and then the people on the shore started throwing rocks at the hole at the same time.
And then, in order to get them to stop throwing rocks, they took a spear and started jabbing holes in their own.
They're
boat.
like, "We're with you.
We also hate this boat." All right.
If they couldn't get this guy who had said in interviews that this was his dream job, who is going to do this? My guess is they're going to get like a studio bean counter to come do this, because no one else is going to want to do it. It's gonna end up being a guy who is just completely business heavy, no creative experience or any want to be involved in the creative.
It'll be the chart guys from Nostalgia Critic.
It'll be a guy who
the chart said
it'll be a guy who
like
comes
Superman.
in and goes, okay, now you may be trying to build a connected universe, but this last Wonder Woman didn't make enough money, so we're not going to do that anymore. But Peacemaker performed well, so we're going to do another Suicide Squad.
It's literally but the chart says.
Yeah. People like this Joker movie. We're going to do 10 spin-offs of that. It's going to be
Sorry,
that.
chart says got to make 10 Joker movies. I don't care if you're creatively bankrupt after the first one. Get Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga will be Harley Quinn. Then for the third one, we're going to have to find another Joker supporting character.
Who's another... Are those the only two characters in the Joker mythos?
I'm pretty sure those are literally the only two characters.
Yeah, other than Batman, is there anyone?
You can include Commissioner Gordon, but there's Joker's supporting cast is Batman's supporting cast.
Yeah,
who else could you bring in? You could just continuously bring in more villains.
I mean, you could do like they did with the Harley Quinn show, where you just give her a team of Batman's rogues gallery.
But they're all just realistic 1980s mental patients.
Yeah, but they're all just like mentally ill people
singing musical numbers. Like Mr. Freeze is just a man who sits in a very cold room.
Yeah, and he sings about how cold it is in his room, and he really misses his wife, who's not even dead. She just is just not there.
In the New 52, they changed it so that wasn't his wife. It was just a woman who was cryogenically frozen.
That he was obsessed with.
He was researching cryogenically frozen people, and he just became obsessed with one of them. He just became obsessed with her and decided that was his wife.
That's really, really dumb.
But then when they did the rebirth, everyone was like, no, we all hate that. Why? That makes no sense.
Yeah, the original one made him a real character and not just some weirdo.
Remember when that was the whole genesis of the reinvention of that character, was that one narrative notion that you got rid of?
Alrighty. I think that pretty much is it for the Dan Lin story. Moving on to number 4. Xbox is having some trouble.
Sam, if you check my show notes in the bottom, this was you. I didn't know.
You just moved my stuff?
I just moved your stuff so that the front part.
I see. Where did you
Oh, part of the Dan Lin thing is in the midst of Warner Brothers having a panic attack, DC fandom's not happening anymore. That's done.
They canceled it?
Yeah, they're just not going to do it.
Didn't it already happen this year?
No, it happened last year.
Oh, yeah.
When they did it in 2020, it was 2 days.
It was the same day that they did Minecon.
It was 12 hours long. It was really weird. And then last year, it was just a 4-hour live stream, which wasn't great anyway because it was 3.5 hours of CW shows and then 30 minutes of cool stuff. So it wasn't very popular at that point anyway. So
yeah, I don't know where you moved my stuff
so
to.
if you go to the show notes
it.
and you go to the second bullet point.
Second. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so the UK is launching an in-depth review of the Microsoft Activision merger, which prompted Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, not Microsoft, of Xbox, they have different CEOs for some reason, publicly announced that Xbox and PlayStation versions of COD moving forward will be exactly the same. So the UK was like, this is looking a little like not a competition going on over here. And then Phil Spencer was like, no, I promise. Call of Duty will be the same on everybody's platform.
Wow. Thank you, Phil Spencer.
He's got to
I totally forgot they bought Activision.
Yeah, because they haven't done anything. Activision
I
doesn't
forgot
make
because they
games.
bought every other studio.
Yeah, they own 90%
they own
of the
all
games.
Do they own Ubisoft now? Is Ubisoft still independent? Well,
I think
kinda.
Ubisoft is still their own thing.
They're next.
But they own Bethesda and Activision are the two biggest ones. And then in addition to this news about the UK review on their stuff, Halo Infinite is getting some delays for this game that after, what's it been out now for 2 years? It came out in late 2020. Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for this game that's been out for 2 years, they're still not done. They completely can't, they axed split screen co-op entirely. Not happening. They can't get
This is for the single player campaign.
Yes.
You can still do it in multiplayer.
Yeah, you can still do the online multiplayer split screen.
Split screen, yeah.
But you can't do the single player co-op, which is a feature that every other Halo game has and had at launch. So that's...
What was their dumb excuse that it just didn't work?
Yeah, they just, guess they just all, like, lost all their brain cells and forgot how to make it.
You made it work on the last 5.
No, they forgot.
You made it work on the first Xbox. How could you not make it work on this one?
They don't know how to do it anymore. Everyone's fired.
Your 50-100 megahertz of power.
Your only platform exclusive game.
It's too much guns.
Too many bullets.
It was too hard for the thing to render all of the bullets, so we had to get rid of the split screen.
Like, that is absolutely...
No, we didn't want to have to work.
That's we think we can get away with not having it and not suffering as a result, so we'll just not do it and charge you more money.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't want to have it be... They don't want it to be standard anymore.
Yeah, they just want to...
What they really want to do is get rid of the couch co-op part.
Yeah, they would.
They want you to buy 2 Xboxes and have to play.
Exactly. They want you to have 2 Xboxes. But yeah, so that's cool. And then on top of all that, they are delaying the release of Season 3. By the way, Halo has only had 2 Battle Pass seasons since it came out 2 years ago.
Let me double check that.
Yeah, so they're delaying the release of Season 3 by 4 months.
Halo Infinite's only been out for less than a year.
Less than a year?
Came out in November of last year. It's been 10 months.
Okay, that's still 10 months. That's 5 months per season.
Yeah.
And they're delaying this one by 4 months. That's the length of the first season. That's so stupid. So yeah, Halo Infinite is absolutely falling apart, and the game is gonna... This basically guarantees that the game is dead now.
I looked it up. You want me to tell you how many different studios Microsoft owns?
Sure.
I'm gonna read them all out.
Let's read them off.
ZeniMax Media, Activision Blizzard, Rareware, 343 Studios, The Coalition, Mojang, Ninja Theory, Playground Games, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, Obsidian Entertainment, In Exile Entertainment, Double Fine, Discord, Square Enix.
Wait, what? They don't own Square Enix.
They tried to buy Discord and Square Enix.
Okay, I was about to say, they tried
to buy Discord for $12 billion. And then they tried to buy Square Enix.
Yeah, I know they're still doing their partnership
Square
with
Enix
Discord.
sold off a bunch of their stuff for crypto dollars.
Yeah, that was really smart. I know Xbox is still planning on doing their partnership with Discord. They also tweeted a few days ago that it's coming out of beta here in the next few weeks. The Discord implementation.
I don't understand what's a beta. It's literally just like an app.
Discord.
Because it has to work across the entire OS. Like it's not like Fortnite voice chat where it only has to work in Fortnite. It has to work across the entire operating system in every game, and it's just they just haven't done that before. I mean, there's the Xbox chat, but that's been there since 360. Like adding a third-party version of it is probably more difficult.
These companies should have been outsourcing voice chat services like a long time ago.
Yeah, well, Xbox has been fine. Like they
invented like voice chat.
Yeah, they've been the industry standard.
To be fair, as much as people like dog on Xbox for not making any games,
they are the only one that knows how to do online.
They pioneered like modern online gaming.
They are the they are the only console to this day that knows how to properly
run online
the internet.
It's also partially is from the geography. It's because they're in America and the rest of them are in Japan.
Yeah, partially is because, well, at least in terms of technological development, Japan is still like a few decades behind. Not even that they don't have the technology, it's that they just refuse to implement it.
You guys are obviously forgetting about the Soulja Boy console. It was ahead of its time.
Xbox doesn't own that. Anyway,
what are you?
I'm just saying they
this
have
is
better
input
internet.
from like 10 minutes ago.
What was I saying? Right, like a lot of Japanese companies, like even big ones like Nintendo and PlayStation, are still using fax machines to send information back and forth.
I'm pretty sure Nintendo is like using like analog like sound.
They use Morse code to like communicate between their different offices.
They use birds.
they have
pigeons.
That's why they bought the Pokemon company. They have like Pidgeys carry letters between their buildings.
And they stick the notes at Pokeballs and they chuck them across the window.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Xbox is very good at online. They're the only game streaming service that is even remotely acceptable in terms of like content and its availability. But they absolutely have dropped the ball in terms of
Well, Sam, Halo. I guess the real question is, will this multi-billion-dollar unbeatable corporation fix its legal troubles?
Probably.
Do you think they have the money to pay off the court system to get through this?
See, okay, the UK has been like on a freaking kill streak lately when it comes to like specifically tech company monopolies. Like I think they just recently passed that thing to force all cell phones to get USB-C chargers. So that'll presumably make Apple really upset here in the next few years.
Doesn't Apple already make models that have USB-C?
No. So when they announced that the law was being passed, there were rumors that Apple was going to make two different models, one for the US and one for the UK with a USB-C charger. But number one, that law doesn't go into effect until I think 2024. So Apple still has some time. Yeah. And two, nothing's been confirmed. My personal theory is there was also an Apple event today that we can talk about later. I
did see it.
My personal theory on what they're going to do is they're just going to remove the charger altogether and go full
wireless
charging. That's why they developed the MagSafe standard or brought it back in the form that it's in now.
Okay.
Great. I love not being able to use my phone while charging.
We did like the Apple Watch thing.
Max, your mic is way too far away from your head.
And you stick it on. What's the point? Because at that point, you're just doing it like a tiny bit less work.
The point is that you don't get charged $1 billion million by the UK government. No, the real reason is so they can get around the laws in the UK. That would be the real reason they remove it. Because I also don't know how you would do like file networking between devices without a port.
They have the corded ones where it's like a MagSafe, and
I know, but you can't transfer. You can't transfer data.
They'd have to figure out a way for you to transfer data through that.
Yeah, now they could just say, "Screw you! If you don't have a MacBook, you're toast. Use AirDrop or die."
Sounds like Apple.
I think that would be pushing it a little bit too far, even for Apple. Even for Apple, I think taking away the ability to transfer files between your phone and your PC would be too much.
The question Apple has to ask is, how long will it take for little Timmy to explain iPhone to grandma? And if grandma can't transfer file between phone and computer, grandma ain't buying no iPhone. So you got to make sure.
Or grandma buys a MacBook. She talks to the man at the Apple store. She says, Thomas, why can't I transfer files from my new fancy iPhone to my computer? And Tommy at the Apple store goes, here at Apple, we believe that it's best you don't use our competitors' products. Would you like to spend $3,000 on a MacBook Pro? And she goes, no, I would not like to do that. And he goes, oh, well, then we're going to kill you. And then she goes, oh, okay, well, then I'll buy your computer, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then she buys the computer.
See, their problem is that if they do that, then 75% of the people that own computers will be able to own iPhones at the same time. And that's just going to be, that would be a huge opening window for Google and Samsung to just swoop in and have their entire marketing campaign be like, hey, this phone is compatible with your computer.
Yeah. Now, the thing is Apple so far continues again and again to alienate compatibility between their devices and competing devices.
And compatibility between your wallet and the product.
Time and time again, And so far, they've managed to straddle that very fine line between usability and alienation of their customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it annoying to have to download iTunes on my PC and open it every time I want to, you know, transfer a file over like 2 megabytes? Yes. But will I do it? Yes, because that's not a significant amount of effort. When you do that to the point where now you have to, you know, buy a whole new computer just to transfer photos, then people would be really upset. Right, the UK and anti-competition laws. So when it
got sidetracked,
if Apple couldn't pay off the UK enough money to get their law passed or not passed,
Apple couldn't even pay off Epic Games.
I don't think Microsoft is going to be faring much better. I think this law, I don't know that they'll get broken up. I don't think they'll get split up. Personally, I don't think anything's going to come out of this investigation. I don't even really know what they're investigating.
If anything gets split up, they'll just like cut Activision Blizzard in half, and then they'll just be like, oh, well, we own a controlling interest in Blizzard. We only completely own it. They'll just do that.
Yeah, I don't think anything will come of this, but when it comes to countries that seem to genuinely care about anti-competition laws, the UK has been in pretty good standing, so at least up until this point.
Okay, Sam, well, moving from something that's somewhat important to something that is not important at all, and everyone forgot about Cyberpunk 2077, baby.
Still around!
It's still a thing. It stopped being relevant about a week after it came out.
Because it was horrible?
Because it was horrible and unfinished and basically falsely advertised. But unfortunately, they announced, like... I'm sorry, I would never... Is that slander?
I don't think so. I think I think CD Projekt Red knows full well what they did.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red announced a game in 2015 and then worked on it at the end of 2019 and released it at the end of 2020. But anyway, unfortunately for them, they announced basically an entire surrounding franchise to go with the game, expecting the game to be just a massive success. It wasn't, and no one cares, but they're going to keep making things because now they're contractually obligated to do so. So,
new DLC!
They announced a new DLC pack. They got Keanu Reeves out because he was in the game.
I'm gonna pull up the numbers on how many people are still playing this game. You keep talking.
Oh, like playing it like currently?
Yeah, like right now.
I want to figure out sales, but they brought out our boy Keanu Reeves because he's breathtaking. Remember that, Sam?
Mm-hmm. I do remember that.
And he's the only likable part about the entire game. So they brought him out, and he was like, I'm gonna be in the new DLC Phantom Liberty, which will release in 2023 exclusively on next-gen consoles. Even though
that makes sense.
The game is on old-gen consoles.
Is it, though?
You won't get the DLC.
Is it really on old-gen
consoles?
Did they end up
recalling them?
Does it barely function on old-gen consoles?
CD Projekt Red became subject to investigations and class action lawsuits for their perceived attempts to downplay the severity of technical problems before release.
Yeah, so the PlayStation 4 version, I know, was completely recalled and
they had to
completely
recall that one
with fixes. The Xbox version, I don't know if it was recalled, but it wasn't playable.
So let's see. 13.9
right, I have the numbers pulled up. I have the numbers pulled up. This is according to Steam, so I don't know if this includes console players.
I think that's probably just PC.
We could probably just double this for the sake of our experiment here, but there is, well, I don't know, double might be, maybe like add another third, but there were 14,880 people playing this game 10 minutes ago. There were 18,981 people at the 24-hour peak, so that's the maximum today.
Mm-hmm.
And all time, the most they ever had on at once was 830,000.
So, meh.
So about 1 million.
Less than 1 million.
We'll say probably 1 million on launch with including consoles.
Yeah, probably at launch.
And probably maybe about 25,000 people still playing.
So, and then probably what, like a fourth of that will actually buy the DLC for the game.
Yeah, we'll say a third of those people care enough to buy the DLC because DLC is usually. So that's maybe 10,000 people will buy this DLC max.
Yep. Very cool. It sold 18 million units as of April 2022.
That makes so little sense.
I guess a bunch of people bought it and then just like played it for 5 minutes and then gave up.
Yeah, because
I bet you they counted all those sales that they then had to refund. Like
yeah,
I bet a bunch of people bought the game at launch on digital storefronts. Those games were so buggy they had to recall them and refund them, but they still counted them as sales, and they were just like, "We've sold 100 units today," and in reality, they had.
and then when the people
99.
that wanted the game after the recall bought it, they counted that as 2 sales.
Yeah, there you go. But along with that DLC, there's also that Netflix anime coming out, Sam. Coming out in a week on
Is it now?
Netflix.
That's
Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Look at this anime.
What studio's making it? Do you know?
Trigger.
Oh, okay. That actually might be good then. They're actually like a really good studio.
But Cyberpunk is a really stupid property.
Yes, and now
And it's on Netflix.
Trigger. Okay, let me rephrase what I just said there. Trigger is really good at animating shows. They're really bad at coming up with stories for shows.
And Cyberpunk is really dumb in general.
Almost every original anime they've made, they don't know how to end it, and so they just make aliens the bad guy in the last minute. You might have heard me rant about Darling in the Franxx.
Oh my
before.
gosh, so many times.
They made that show. They also made Kill la Kill, which you might have seen the cover
I've heard
for
of
on
that
Netflix.
one.
It's the one with the girl who's like barely wearing any clothes because like that's the plot. That one also plot twist. Clothes are aliens.
What?
You got to watch the show for that sentence to make sense, but that's the plot twist. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen that show's from 2012. You had 10 years to watch that show.
You're behind on the Naked Lady Alien show.
If you didn't watch the Naked Lady in the last 10 years,
That would be a good.
you,
that'd
guy.
be a good twist for the next season of Naked and Afraid. Like they give them clothes finally, but it turns out they're aliens.
Well, there was another plot twist at the end where she was actually her best
Was
friend
she an alien?
No, she was just a lesbian.
That's not really a twist.
Well, it's a twist if you're a dude who was into the main character, and then you might be upset about that.
Dang.
But most
That
normal
subreddit
people
must-
were just
that-
like, "Oh, it's a cartoon character, and it doesn't affect my life at all."
That subreddit must have gone insane.
Yeah, I wasn't really into anime when that show came out. I'm gonna be honest. I watched it like 10 years or like 5 years after, but it's not
What
important.
was this related to at all?
The
the Cyberpunk
studio
anime.
Xbox, yeah, stuff that studio has made for anime.
So quality content.
But yeah, I mean,
telling
I might check it out. I mean,
Didn't they do a short for Visions?
yeah, they did a short for Visions. I'm not sure which one they did.
Studio Trigger is the name.
Yeah, you watched Visions, right?
Some of it. I never finished it.
I think they did the one with the brother and sister.
They
with
worked
the-
on Steven Universe.
Everyone worked on Steven Universe. That's
Did
why
they all just have like guest episodes?
No, okay. You know how Steven Universe had like
they also worked in Fire Emblem Fates.
Yeah, they did a lot of character design for that. But Steven Universe has a wildly inconsistent animation style because they just chucked it from studio to studio.
Let's see. They did the twins and the elder.
Yeah, so that's the one I was talking about with the brother and the sister.
The twins is the one where they fight on the big spaceship.
Yeah, did you watch that one?
I think so.
And the elder, I think, is the one where the master and the apprentice find that old Sith dude on that planet and they fight.
Okay.
Which are both decent episodes.
Kill
I
la
think
Kill was their first thing they ever did was Kill la Kill.
Yeah, that was like their debut thing, and it was massive when it came. The animation in that show is phenomenal. Like, as dumb as the plot is, the animation's on another level. It's crazy. It's really good.
And then they did then after that they did when supernatural battles became commonplace.
Yeah, okay. So there's a thing with anime titles where when you read them in English, they don't make any sense. That's one of those.
Why don't they just change the title for American audience? Like, remember,
Because it's based on those those books.
I know,
at Barnes and Noble. It's those. That's
I
what
know
those
that,
are.
but you just change the title and people will figure it out that if that's an
Tucker, the
adaptation
author
of it.
couldn't be bothered to come up with a real title. You think they're going to
Okay,
come
but
up
if
with
it
a
makes-
whole new title
Okay,
just for America?
But that's fine if that's how Japan, like that's how they title their stuff. It's fine if they want to do that. But that in America, all of our titles are like The Predator. Like it's like really, really short.
Yeah.
We gotta shorten those titles for America. We're dumb. We can't read that many words at once. We gotta have
But
a
what
short
if the
title.
title instead is "I told you to turn me into a pampered pooch, not Fenrir"? That's a real light novel title.
See?
Check that one out.
Just take that. I turned into Fenrir. Boom. Title
Just-
done.
Fenrir. That's it.
Just cut those words out.
All
Just,
that you got like rid of 20 words right there.
yeah. Just I. But it's so clean. Just the
Now,
letter
some
I.
anime do have alternate titles for US. It was more commonplace in the 80s. You might remember.
Dragon Balls.
No, Dragon Ball has always been called Dragon Ball in both, but Macross, you might remember us watching as children under the title Robotech, with also some various like story changes that they did that made the
Didn't
show
they just recut that? Wasn't that like a different show that they essentially just recut?
Yeah, basically they just changed the whole show into they basically
That's
just
how
made it a whole
we did
different
it with a piece of Japanese media in the 80s and 90s.
Where
we
like
just
that
took
robo
stuff and we just cut it to pieces and changed the entire storyline for no reason.
Yeah, so see that's what happens when they do your thing and not let the titles be stupid.
I'm just
Sometimes
saying,
you gotta let the titles be stupid.
but they're so long.
They are long. Anyway,
And I can't read. It's super hard. For
what's
me.
next on the news?
Sam, you want to talk about a thing that only happened in the U.S.?
Let's
and
talk
no
about
one
a
else?
thing that does not affect Australia at all or the U.S. for the next 51 weeks.
National Cinema Day
National
happened
Cinema
here
Day.
in the U.S. If you don't know what that is,
Neither did we until that weekend where they decided
I
to
knew
make
it was
up.
happening.
No, everyone knew it was happening, but it wasn't a real holiday until that.
Oh no,
week.
they made it up. Yeah, on September 3rd of this year of 2022 on a Saturday, they lowered the price of all movie tickets across all showtimes and all formats. So there was all $3. So the XD showings were $3 and the standard showings were $3. The 3D showings were $3, all the way from midnight,
which
to
is like
midnight.
$5 Australian.
Yeah, here our normal movie ticket price hovers around like $9 or $10. It's hard to adjust for now because of inflation.
Or if you
so
go
high.
see it in 3D or XD, it's usually like 15.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive. So there was a big price drop, right? And
even the XD tickets were $3. It was like
so
everything was going out.
Technically, it was somewhat of a success. So it boosted attendance a lot, right? A lot of people came out to the movies because it was $3. Which makes sense. If it's cheaper, people are going to go do it because it's cheaper, and then they don't have to pay more to do
Supply
it
and
next
demand, economics, ticket class, you'll figure it out.
Now, it did not boost the money that like each movie earned that much. Like it did a little bit, but it did like supercharge attendance. So a bunch of people went to see them, but like on paper, the numbers weren't much better because the ticket prices were lower. So more people were going to see it, but it was around the same money made total.
What you're telling me is studios can afford to make the ticket prices nearly a third of what they have been, and they will make the same amount of money, and the theaters will then also make more money because more people will be buying concessions.
Okay, well, that's not technically true because if they were to lower the price to say $3 for every movie, that would increase the attendance, and since then they would fill up more showtimes, the weekend box office would be lower because the attendance would be really high, but because the numbers would be basically the same, you wouldn't be able to play the movie as many times and make as much money.
Why wouldn't you be able to play the movie as many times?
It's the math reasons, Sam.
That makes no sense.
Okay,
if you have more butts and seats for a single showing,
yep.
The amount of you're not going to cut the movie off halfway because there was only 20 people in the theater.
Sorry, that's not what I meant. So basically, okay, say a movie made $20 billion opening weekend, like with normal ticket prices.
Yeah.
Right? If you then lower the price, more people will show up, and more people will fill up the screenings. However, you'll make less money from that screening because the price was dropped. So you'll have higher attendance.
You said they made the same amount of money
relatively to last weekend, which was like a off week.
Off week has been because there's no new movies out.
Bullet Train, say, made $5.7 million this last weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
It made like 5.6 last week, but its attendance was up from like 200,000 people to like 800,000 people.
Also consider this, like they made the same, like nearly the same amount of money, and the movie had been out for a whole nother week. So they basically kept the line flat.
Mm-hmm.
More people saw the movie, which increases the likelihood that more people are going to buy the merch, go see a sequel, whatever else. And the movie theater is going to make way more money because you have way more people buying concessions.
Did make a whole lot more money because the concession sales were so high.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, and this was a week where nothing was out.
We
almost considered skipping this whole thing altogether because literally nothing was out.
Which is why this was a thing that the theaters decided on. This was not.
Yeah.
The studios didn't want this.
If this happened and a big movie did come out, that place would have been exploding. Imagine if literally any big movie came out within the last 3 weeks.
They should have scheduled something this weekend. It was Labor Day weekend. There was a promotional event all set up and ready to go. They should have set up literally anything to come out.
But like, given the conditions that this event happened in, and they were able to keep the money the same as last weekend
Mm-hmm.
without releasing any new movies, while keeping and lowering the ticket price.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm an executive and I see that, I'm like, oh, so we need to lower the prices then and get more butts and
100% they should. Now, we'll get to the problems here in a minute. So this was a really good thing for theaters. The studios didn't really care, didn't really make them any money, but it made the theaters a lot of money because there were a lot of people there. Now, here's where the problem comes in. When you lower the price of a movie from, say, $12 to $3,
Mm-hmm.
that does open the window for a lot of people who couldn't pay the $12 who are paying the $3 who can now come in.
Yes.
Unfortunately, according to reports from across the country, these people were not polite cinema goers, okay? Apparently, there was huge problems with people. The theaters are already understaffed because they never fully recovered from COVID.
Yeah.
So these were understaffed theaters with large crowds of people coming in because it was so popular to come see movies for $3. Parents were dumping giant groups of kids off at the theater for like an entire day. And
like
then
daycares and schools and stuff?
What?
Well, like daycares and stuff?
No, like they were dumping their group of like 6 teenagers at the theater at 9 a.m. and picking them up at 10 p.m. And they're literally just there for the entire day. And they're like running around the theater, jumping from screen to screen, screening to screening, running up and down the aisles, taking pictures, having their phones out, being horrible customers, not listening to any of the managers or staff members and not leaving. Employees have reported that these crowds were severely disrespectful and impolite. This is a consistent thing in the entire movie industry where they do like free press screenings, right? Or like previews occasionally where they get like press to come in where people get to see a movie for free. And when people get to see a movie for free or cheaper, they're just like, oh, cool. I don't have to follow the rules, baby. I can like fart in the theater and talk on the phone because who cares? It's free, baby.
Yeah.
Now, heads up, whether you paid 50 cents to see it or you paid $90 to see a movie, that doesn't get to change the rules on how you get to act in the actual theater.
Obviously.
You still have to be polite to the other people in there. It's not an invitation to act like a total moron and running up and down the aisles and screaming at people from across the rows. It's just terrible, and the theater employees hated it, which is probably, if they don't do this again, that's going to be the main reason why. Is because the actual employees of the theaters were very, very upset.
Alternatively, I mean, yes, that's so stupid. That's beyond dumb. That should not happen. But if you make this the normal price going forward, or like maybe slowly work your way to this price over the next few months or whatever, those crowds, like, because this was just a big event, like a big one-time thing, that's not going to happen every single day. Like, this was a big
oh yeah, if it became normalized, it would cool down.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen every day. And also, movie theaters used to, that was what the norm was 2 years ago. That's how many people, before COVID, that's how many people would normally be in a theater on any given, weekend. Like, you'd have lines at the concessions. That was the first time we'd stood in a concession line in like 8 months.
Actual years, yeah.
Yeah. That amount of people is the normal amount.
To be fair to us, we normally go to movies at like 10:30 at night.
That's true, but that's more because of the way that our schedules line up. But like, when we go to movies during the day, also, there's basically been no one there.
Yeah.
For like and it's been, great for us personally. We like to talk in the theater and complain about the movie because that's what we do. But
if no one else is in
there,
then you can say
which has happened to us several times. Like we saw Morbius for like a third time or a second time. I don't know how many times we saw Morbius.
We saw Morbius once.
We see it once?
The one time we saw it,
there were only 4 other people in the theater.
Remember when we went to see Monster Hunter?
Yeah,
and there was
when we went to see Monster Hunter, there was
for that
one man in the theater.
It was on like a Tuesday night, and there was literally one other guy.
Wasn't it like a holiday too?
It was like over Christmas.
It was like the second week of Christmas break. Or something like
and there was just one other guy in there.
It was like New Year's or something. I don't know.
It wasn't like the day we went to see it.
The day we went to see it wasn't special, but it was over a break.
It was over like a holiday period. And like, there's just one guy in there alone.
But yeah,
it was so sad.
Because that was the combination of COVID being at its peak
and Monster Hunter being terrible.
The movie absolutely sucking, and it also being an IP no one in America recognizes. And
I think we talked
It was
about
also
it.
like the middle of the night.
I think we talked about it on the show, but I remember leaving the theater to go to the bathroom, and they were sitting like in a forest, like making camp and like eating food and talking or whatever. And I come back, and there's literally Ron Perlman in like a suit of armor spinning around in a circle with flaming swords, and there's like 3 like monsters surrounding him. Like
No, it was like a
Jurassic World.
swarm of these like, what are those dinosaurs called that are basically turtles but with big lumpy tails? There's a bunch of those.
It was like, I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, Tucker left to go to the bathroom during like, okay,
That
I guess
movie's so
this is a
bad.
bit of a tangent. That is by far and away the worst movie I've ever seen because it actually made me sick to my stomach and I wanted to leave because it was just so boring. And I felt
so
like I was
boring.
trapped in the theater watching it. That's another thing.
How long is that?
But for the whole first 45 minutes, they're just stuck in a desert doing literally
they're just
nothing
running. They're
for the
literally
entire movie.
Yeah.
Tucker went to the bathroom during the part where they get out of the desert and stuff starts happening. Then he came back and a million things were happening.
Let's not sell that. Let's not do any false advertising. Nothing was happening the whole time.
No, but like you came back and like there was a bunch of stuff on the screen.
Yeah, there was just more
And
nonsense.
nothing was really happening, but there was stuff on the screen instead of just sand.
Time. It was only like an hour and 40 minutes. It felt
Yeah,
like
and the
3
first
hours.
45 minutes are just sitting in desert
I remember
doing nothing.
They start off the movie in like on Earth, and they're in a normal desert, and then
They're just in the military.
Then they travel to the alternate world, and they're like, and it's the same desert, and they're all acting like, whoa, this is such a magical and different place. And I'm like, if I was there, I
went
wouldn't
from a
tell.
rocky desert to a slightly less rocky desert.
That was the only difference.
There were slightly less pebbles in the ground.
And then there was that whole thing where they were like, the guy was obsessed with Hershey's chocolate, and the whole movie he was like, I like this Hershey's chocolate. Can I have more Hershey's
Yeah, also
chocolate?
the guy who she meets doesn't speak English because he's from Space Monster World or whatever. His name's Hunter.
Right.
He calls him Hunter. He says his name is Hunter. Like, so I guess he can say that. And because the game's called Monster Hunter. I didn't know Monster Hunter was the name of the guy and not the thing the guy was doing.
That's the
I was under
character's
the impression
name.
that was what you do in the game and not your character's name. That's beside the point. But yeah, then they go to this big tower in like the middle of the jungle, and then the big monster appears that they've been hyping up for the entire movie, and then the movie ends.
Right.
It just stops. And you're like, what did I just
They're like,
watch?
guys, we gotta fight Rathalos.
They're in the middle.
We're gonna fight Rathalos.
They're in the middle of fighting the big freaking thunder dragon,
And then
they
the movie
get
ends.
zapped into the Earth dimension. They get zapped back to Earth. The main character's knocked out. This is the third time she's been in a helicopter. She's in 3 different helicopter crashes in this movie. This is the third helicopter crash she's in. She's knocked out. She's on the ground.
Oh
she's
my
pulling
gosh.
herself up. She stands up. She gets her swords. The other
Right.
guys are there. The monster comes swooping down, and he's on Earth now. And then boom,
It's all coming
the
back
movie
to
just
me.
ends. The
I
movie
remember
just stops.
That
being a
movie
thing.
made me physically nauseous.
Yeah, it was actually just
The
horrible.
editing was so bad. It made me sick. Like
It was
that,
edited like a
it was-
TikTok video,
yeah.
but like the whole movie.
Yeah, it was like just like cut, 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 cut. Like they would like it was like all fast paced, and there would be like a scene where they're literally just driving in a straight line, and they would cut to like a shot of her like twisting the wheel, and then it would cut to a shot of like her changing the gear, and then her like pressing the windshield wiper button, and it was all like just like a million different angles, just like 15 cuts in like a second.
Yeah, there were.
It was
I
absurd.
think we counted at one point there were 53 cuts in a minute.
Yeah.
and they were still in a desert. So what are you even cutting to?
I remember a scene where they're like hiding in like a cave, and to transition to the next scene, the camera zooms out. Doggo
podcast
time.
dog.
Podcast dog. The camera zooms out, spins in a circle, and then just zooms back in, and they're like, "It's nighttime now, guys. Look
That
at that
was so dumb.
transition." Oh, I hated that movie.
Anyway, what on earth were we talking about? Cinema Day.
Do you think they'll do this again? I think
Absolutely.
they will.
No, I think they're definitely.
I think the managers are looking at that concession money going up, and I think they'll do it like another similar weekend. I don't think they're going to do this with any sort of wide release because I think the studios wouldn't let them.
No, I don't think they'll do this like when a big movie comes out.
Yeah, they'll wait for another quiet
Yeah,
weekend.
I think Cinema Day will just arbitrarily
magically it'll just shift from weekend.
It'll
to
be like
weekend.
Chevy Truck Month, where it just sort of randomly happens. It doesn't really have a set date.
Whenever they decide
For
it's truck
context,
month,
Australians who might not be aware, in America,
it's always Chevy truck.
Chevy, the like car company, just like goes, it's Chevy Truck Month with our best deals, like every month.
Every ad on television, it's just always Chevy truck month.
No one really knows when Chevy Truck Month is, because it just seems to always be happening.
I don't think that Chevy knows when Chevy truck month is.
Anyway,
let me see if there's a set date for Chevy truck month.
Moving on to our next. Oh, Cena, please don't knock the light over. Cena.
Uh-oh.
Hey. Get out of there.
All right, I'll be right back. Let me get her.
Moving right along to our next. Cena, go on. Cena. Go on. There you go. All right. Yes, so we have the full D23 schedule revealed, which Tucker put this here. I didn't know that this even happened, so I guess we'll ramble until Tucker does that. He's right now he's closing the door and the dog and the hamper basket. I don't know why I said hamster. That's not a hamster. Okay. Nope, now we're barring the door with a chair. And there's Tucker.
This is the system we have to put in place to prevent our dog, who figured out how to open doors, from getting in here.
Yeah, especially because the door is locked from the outside, so we can't just lock the door. It's really dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tucker, what's going on with D23?
Technically, we shouldn't admit that they're locked from the outside, because it's technically a fire hazard, but it's not.
Well, we could break that. Those doors are really... Anyway, continue.
And there's windows
what's going on with...
Anyway, that's not important. Okay, so D23, it's right around the corner. It's this weekend. When this comes out, it'll either be today or tomorrow. Actually, no, it'll be that day when this comes out. So they gave their full lineup for not just Disney Plus Day, but for all of D23. So now we know what it looks like as a whole, and each day is kind of themed. So Thursday is Disney Plus Day, right? So they're gonna drop a bunch of stuff on Disney Plus. The new Pinocchio live-action remake.
Oh, that looks so bad.
Pinocchio doesn't look that bad though.
No,
he doesn't look like freaky.
He doesn't look as freaky
at a place,
as I thought he would look.
Yeah,
but he still looks pretty weird.
It looks wrong because it looks like they literally just like put cartoon Pinocchio in a movie, like that's live action.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit almost.
Yeah, which I'd prefer over like realistic CGI like mocap child
now,
Pinocchio.
I think Tom Hanks as Geppetto is probably the most perfect casting decision of all time.
I hope he's just hamming it up as Geppetto. I hope he's just like doing a goofy Italian man.
Yeah. But like this is sort of beside. But like seriously, I don't think there is a single actor who could have been a better live action Geppetto than Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they're also going to premiere, I believe, the whole season of Cars on the Road, the new Cars series with Owen Wilson and Larry the Cable Guy returning.
Watching Cars on the Road?
I will watch Cars on the Road before I watch anything else that comes out this day. Okay?
Awesome.
They're also going to of course, debut a new episode of She-Hulk. My guess is... Well, I don't know. It's probably not. I was going to say my guess is
this time Cardi B will show up instead of Megan Thee Stallion.
I was going to say this could possibly be the Daredevil episode, but I think they released the first 4 or 5 to reviewers, and they said Daredevil wasn't in any of them, so I probably not. And
they might have also been required to say that.
Too, I don't know. I think they're saving them for the end, for when the actual plot part of the show kicks in.
Yeah, whenever the story of the show happens.
Which we'll talk about later.
Well, okay, they resolved the Abomination arc like really fast.
We'll talk about it when we get to that. But Thor: Love and Thunder, of course, will also release on the service that day as well. So that's Disney Plus Day. It's basically just Disney Plus dropping a bunch of content, right? On Friday is when the actual like D23 like convention starts. That's when the panels begin. Disney and Marvel will host a game showcase at 4 p.m. Eastern time. That will showcase content from
like video games.
Yeah, like actual video games. Midnight Suns, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and
Lego
more.
Star Wars Skywalker Saga been out for like.
Presumably, it's some sort of DLC campaign or something.
DLC for
character pack. I don't know.
Maybe they'll add Clone Wars.
They could add like Solo or Rogue One levels or something.
Well, they have the character packs from Solo.
They're already in the game, so I don't know. I feel like they'll add. It'd be weird if they had this panel in September for a game that came out in like May for them to be like, hey, go buy Lego Star Wars. And
I could see them adding Clone Wars to the game seasonally. Like this is seasons 1 and 2 of Clone Wars now in Lego Star Wars Skywalker
Well, they
Saga.
did the Lego Clone Wars game.
Yeah, but only seasons 1 and 2 of the show were out when they made that game.
That's true. Let's see. How many DLC things have they done?
There's just a bunch of character packs.
They did Mandalorian season 1.
And season 2.
Solo, classic skins, Bad Batch, Mandalorian season 2, Rogue One, and a skin pack of like troopers. So, yeah, Clone Wars is the only thing they really haven't done. So
Yeah.
that could be a big push for that. But that game has been a huge hit, so they're gonna want to support it somehow.
Yeah, that game did pretty well. And I played it. I don't know if I ever finished it.
I didn't 100% complete it. I finished the campaign.
I didn't finish I stopped in the middle of episode 8, and then I kind of forgot I had the game.
I kind of sped through it like the week.
Also, I got it on my Xbox and not on my Switch. I really should have got it on the Switch. Yeah, I think
I don't know if it would run. I don't know.
But
Probably would have run the same.
I would have probably finished it if I just had it with me all the time.
I played the whole. I was sick when it came out, so I was just sitting at home playing the game. So I played through in like a week.
I got it on my Xbox because I thought it would stream better, and it, to be fair, it definitely did look and play better on the Xbox. But I feel like for like me personally, I would have rather gotten it on the Switch because I would have definitely played it more.
They say and more. I don't know if there's a whole lot else Disney is working on that they're going to talk about, because they're not going to talk about any of the Insomniac stuff, because that's
I think we'll finally get those trailers for the Star Wars shows that they debuted at Star Wars Day.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll get some Star Wars game stuff,
because we haven't. We know those trailers are out. We've seen most of it through clips on TikTok or Twitter or whatever.
What do you mean?
The trailer for the Ahsoka show.
Oh, well, this is games right now.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we might see
this shows is in a minute. We're doing games right now.
Well, games we might see some. We might see more for Fallen Order.
Yeah, Jedi Survivor is supposed to come out in like May.
Yeah, we might see more for that Quantum Dream Star Wars game, though I doubt it, because that game is 5 years out, and it's been having development issues.
I don't. Oh, well, no, that's kind of a Microsoft thing. The problem is that like Bethesda's doing the Indiana Jones game. Ubisoft is doing their open world thing.
Lucasfilm
and,
Games is still doing that weird new IP that we know absolutely nothing about.
What?
Yeah, they're doing that new IP that they showed footage for it. It was like a bunch of crates of like explosives or whatever.
What are you talking about?
Look up Lucasfilm Games in development.
So let's see. Did Star Wars Hunters ever come out?
No, I don't think it has. It's been talked about in like every single game showcase they did, and it was even in an Apple, like not this most recent presentation that was today, but the last one that was like 5 months ago.
Let's see. Knights of the Old Republic remake has been like indefinitely delayed. That's having development issues. I'm wondering about that. Jedi Survivor. That's the most likely thing. Respawn FPS. I don't think we'll hear about that until after Survivor comes out. RTS game by the XCOM people. I don't think we'll hear about that either.
We might see stuff about that. RTS games are
open world Ubisoft game. That might be a big show shutout, but that seems like something they'll save for like
that
E3.
would be something because if Ubisoft is making an open world Star Wars game,
they'll save that for the E3
they're going to save that for their own thing.
Skydance media game. That's too early on in development for them to talk about. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of Star Wars stuff we'll see. I don't know what Disney is working on with games, because when
they axed their game division
all their game division in like 2016
like 2016 or 2015, a long time ago.
2016, and like for no reason, because
games don't make any money.
They all decided, the executive board was like, hey, you know what isn't popular with the kids anymore? Video games. This stupid fad. No one's gonna play video games. And then they axed all of their video game departments, and then video games passed movies and TV shows in total revenue like the next year. And then COVID hit, and games blew up and made so much. It was the only thing making money.
Well, did you see that Mirrorverse game that they made?
What?
Disney?
Mirrorverse?
Okay, you know how every time we go to GameStop, there's those really big Disney figures that are like weird alternate versions of them?
Sorta?
That's their new mobile Toys to Life game.
They have a mobile Toys to Life game?
Called Mirrorverse. They've had I've seen a single ad for it. I don't remember where it was that I saw the ad. It might have just been part of a games presentation, and I just thought it was an ad. But yeah, they have this full Mirrorverse Toys to Life game that's only on mobile. That's been out for a year.
Yeah, they're gonna talk about mobile games. That's gonna be most of it.
Where's the sequel to Where's My Perry?
That's true.
Waiting
Didn't
on
we
that one
get
for a
that? We
while.
got Where's My Water too.
Yeah, but I think they did make a Where's My Perry 2, but they didn't make a Where's My Perry 3. It's been too long.
Where's My Perry and Where's My Water were the same game. It was the Phineas and Ferb.
No, Where's My Perry had lava in it. That made
So
it
did Where's My Water.
No, but Perry started with it. Where's My Water was only in the second one.
Why do we know that?
We played.
Why have they not done anything with that IP? Where's My Water?
Because it's really not an IP.
When's
It's
the Where's
barely a game.
Their crocodile guy is a character.
They have Lyle Crocodile now. They don't need.
I think Sony owns Lyle Crocodile.
Well, clearly
They gotta roll out.
clearly the market for human crocodile man content is being filled.
They gotta roll out their own singing crocodile creature to compete with Sony's.
Every brand, you know how like every single.
Oh, they made a bunch of those games. They made Where's My Water 1 and 2, and then they made Where's My Perry, Where's My Mickey, Where's My Water featuring XYY, Where's My Valentine. Made a bunch of them.
You know how oh, I had a thought. I forgot it while you were talking. Whatever. Anyway,
Let's see. I want to know if the character had a name.
okay.
Swampy.
What's the next thing for D23?
Okay, Friday. Disney and Marvel will host a. No, that's what I just said. What? I just said that. Why did I? Okay, Saturday. That's what I meant to say. Oh no, there was another thing on Friday. I'm all over the place. I'm very tired. Disney will also hold a panel that day for Disney Animation, Pixar, and Disney Live Action to discuss upcoming projects and those in development. I believe that's closer to like 7 o'clock because I think the game showcase is supposed to be like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that's when we're gonna hear about whatever their next Disney proper animated film is after Strange World, which will probably be the main focus since that comes
Makes
out.
sense because
That comes out next.
I have a feeling
Pixar.
Strange World's not going to do.
Pixar,
so well.
I believe, only has one movie coming out that next year. It's Elemental. We'll probably actually get a look at that. That isn't concept art. And then Disney live
I feel
action.
bad. Pixar's might be donezo here soon.
Maybe if Lightyear was a good movie, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Well, okay. Every movie that they made in the last 2 years, except Lightyear, has been a banger. It's just Lightyear was the only one they
put in
theaters.
theaters for no reason. Good job, Pixar. Well, it's
And
not
so,
really
what
Pixar.
does that show Disney?
Good job, Disney.
What does that make the chart say?
That makes
Pixar movies do really good on Disney Plus, but they do really bad in
Turning
theaters.
Red good, Luca pretty good, Soul good, Onward meh, Toy Story 4 meh, Incredibles 2 meh. All the movies they released in theaters have been the meh ones, and then the good ones are the ones they haven't.
And so, what is that gonna show? What is that gonna reflect on the chart? That tells
So
me,
dumb.
Mr. Disney executive, that well, we should just put them all on the Disney Plus then, since they do so bad in theaters.
Makes sense with me, Daryl.
Sounds great, Phil.
So-
Glad to have you working here. Have another $1 billion raise.
So let's see. Disney proper animation, so the original studio, Strange World is the only thing they have in the works.
I do not care for Strange World.
So Strange World on November 23rd, and then Disney Live Action has The Little Mermaid on May 26th. That's probably what they'll talk about
That'll make a
for
million
Disney Live
dollars.
Action. That'll make stupid money because all those remakes do. They all make way too much money.
They'll make $1 billion.
They'll probably focus on, let's see, Disenchanted, Hocus Pocus 2. Those are both Disney
Hocus
Plus
Pocus 2,
films.
they'll hit a lot.
That'll
but
be
it's closer
because
to
that's
Halloween.
coming out in like 3 weeks. And then Disenchanted, they'll probably talk about a lot too because that's November 24th. The Haunted Mansion movie with Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito's in that one.
Isn't Jared Leto also in that movie?
Jared Leto was also in that movie.
That's gonna be such a weird movie.
Yeah, I think they'll probably just show a poster for that. I don't know if we'll get anything on that. It's still.
I don't
far
think
away.
they have anything done for that movie yet.
Let's see. Elemental we just talked about, and then they have a bunch of untitled films on dates. There's an untitled live action movie for August 11th, 2023. That's less than a year away. They're probably gonna have to tell us what that is, or they'll cancel the date.
What was the last theatrical live action movie they made that wasn't Marvel or Star Wars?
Theatrical.
Yeah.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Gotta go back.
Can't remember.
Jungle Cruise.
Okay, yeah, we didn't see that.
They made Jungle Cruise and Cruella in the same year. I don't think they've released.
Cruella was actually really good.
I don't think they've released a live action movie in theaters this whole year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't think of any.
Yeah, let's see. This year they did Lightyear, which was animated. They released part of Peter Jackson's Beatles documentary in theaters
That's dumb.
for like a week. Yeah, they haven't released a live action movie that isn't Star Wars or Marvel or Fox in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're getting Avatar 2, but that's not really
That's
Disney.
technically a Fox thing. So yeah, Disney's got dates to fill, and we'll probably figure out what those are. I think at the end of this whole D23, we'll know everything that's coming out in 2023 at the very least, and then probably a little bit of what's coming in 2024 for all of the Disney studios. Okay, and then on Saturday, which will be the last day with actual panels, this is the big one, boys. Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, and 20th Century are all sharing one big panel at 1 p.m. Eastern
What on earth
time.
are they going to talk about at the Marvel one?
All will show previews of upcoming titles, sneak peek footage, and have special guests.
Oh,
So,
trailers. Trailers for
I
stuff
think
they
the
already
reason they're all combined is that Marvel and Lucasfilm probably don't have a lot, and so they just like put them all together.
have. This will be less of a panel and more of a trailer showcase.
Yeah, Marvel is gonna have nothing.
They'll have the trailer for
They
Ant-Man.
dumped their whole load.
They'll have the
Comic-Con.
trailer for Ant-Man to show because
Or
they
something.
showed part of it.
They're gonna give us another trailer for Black Panther.
Yeah, we'll see another trailer for. Well, will that be out by then?
No, this is this week.
Oh yeah, this is this week. Yeah. They'll show another trailer for Black Panther. They'll show the trailer for Ant-Man for the first time with its CGI finished. They'll show something for Disney Plus.
What's
Some show or whatever.
Oh, they're gonna finally confirm that Werewolf by Night thing that's supposed to come out like next
They'll
month.
talk about the Halloween special that they're.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet we'll see one for the Guardians thing too.
That's true because that's all supposed to come out.
That's
in like
also
2
coming out in
months.
December. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be the holiday special.
Yeah, it'll be the Disney Plus holiday time weekend show.
The people keep thinking they're gonna announce the Fantastic Four cast.
No.
Probably not.
They might, if they do anything, they'll announce like one cast member, or maybe who the villain.
I mean, I
is
think
gonna
they'll
be.
confirm that Matt Shackman's directing.
Yeah.
So, and I don't even think that'll be like a here he is to talk. I think it'll be like
He's doing it.
Fantastic Four, and we got our director now, so it's
Yeah.
fine. I think it'll be more like that. It won't be like, and here's John Krasinski he's playing Mr. Fantastic. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
They're not going to do that for anything because like that's such a big thing. They're gonna save that for Comic-Con, or
Yeah.
they'll do it all now. Who knows? My thing with
I think it's just too far out.
it's
for
too
them to
far.
say
It's
much
too.
stuff
It's
about it.
over
Yeah.
2 years away.
Yeah, we're not going to see a whole lot of stuff for Fantastic Four.
So they're not even
for
going to
a
start
while.
shooting that until a year from now.
Yeah.
So they're probably not even close to the casting process for it, unless they have some sort of involvement with Ant-Man 3, and then they have to get it out before
Yeah.
then. If it does get revealed this weekend, then confirmed they have some sort of cameo in Ant-Man 3. Otherwise,
I could
there's
see them
no reason
having some kind of cameo in Ant-Man.
there's
3.
no reason for them to be casted already if they're not in something that's coming out very
Yeah,
soon.
that's true.
But I think the main thing will be the Werewolf by Night special because they've been holding on to it forever, not talking about it, and it's finished and has to come out this year.
Yeah, they got to.
So
We know it's a thing, Disney. Just put it somewhere.
the director said he made it. Like you can't pretend
It's not
it
a
didn't
secret
happen.
anymore.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they're holding off on it because it has stuff with Eternals in it and they don't
No.
want to talk about it?
I think they're holding off on it because they don't want to set a date
They're
for
just
it.
dumb.
I think because they want everyone to be like, oh, it's Werewolf by Night. I think it's tied into Moon Knight a little bit.
Even if it is, like, why not tell us where it is?
I don't know. Why does Kevin Feige do anything? Why haven't we had like a look at the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy
That comes out in like
that literally
2 months.
has barely anything to do with anything
Yeah.
else? It's like what they didn't show us the I Am Groot trailer until like 2 weeks before that came out, and that
Yeah.
is literally not.
No
even
one
canon.
cares about I Am Groot. I Am Groot.
Lucasfilm, I think Lucasfilm is gonna have nothing to show, nothing of note. I think at most
We'll see the trailer
at
for
most they're-
Ahsoka. We'll see the trailer for Mandalorian season 3.
I think at most we're gonna get that trailer for Mandalorian season 3 that's already made that they just haven't released to the public.
Yeah, both the Ahsoka and
And
Mando ones are.
They're
already
gonna
made.
tell us when Bad Batch season 2 is coming out.
No,
that's still supposed to come out this year.
They'll shadow drop the first episode
Nah.
because we got a trailer for Bad Batch
If
like
they-
5 months ago.
If they were gonna do that, they would do it on Disney Plus Day. They wouldn't wait for 2 days after that to do the Disney Plus original.
Why not?
I think they're gonna delay it till spring.
Well, when does She-Hulk end?
She-Hulk ends in like mid-October.
So put it out then. What else is coming out?
Andor is coming out at the time. That'll be what.
But they've had 2
talk
Star
about.
Wars shows.
It'll be the Andor press tour for.
Yeah, they'll talk a lot about Andor. But they've had Bad Batch coming out at the same time as Mandalorian before.
Did they?
Yeah, the first season.
I don't remember that.
Or maybe it was Clone Wars and Mando.
Something I don't remember.
But their animated stuff, they're less
no, I think
concerned about releasing.
I
at
don't
the
think
same
that's
time.
finished. That show's finished yet. I think they're gonna delay that season till.
Well,
spring.
what else have they been doing? That they've been working on that season since I would assume since the last season.
I don't know. Animation takes a long time, Sam. So
Yeah, but these guys have been making this like kind of animation for like literally more than a decade now. I think they got it figured
but
out.
it keeps getting better. Let me look up what Lucasfilm's working on. Oh, you know what they're finally gonna probably talk about?
Clone Wars season 8, baby, it's back again.
No, Indiana Jones 5.
Indiana Jones 5.
Why are they not? Why have they
his
said
back is healed now?
They don't even have. They haven't even told us a title. Like
That's a good point.
just they're gonna at least they have to tell us what the title is at least, because otherwise, what are they doing?
Yeah, it's weird how
That's their-
little they've talked about.
That's their only film on the release calendar for the next 3 years. Is that Indiana Jones movie,
That's
and
so
they
weird.
haven't even told us what it's called yet.
Huh.
And then in terms of TV series, we know Bad Batch season 2 is coming out. We know Vision season 2 is coming out in spring, and we know Tales of the Jedi is supposed to come out at some point this year.
I forgot about Tales of the Jedi.
Oh,
But it looks really cool.
he's back.
It's the only thing. It's the closest thing we've gotten to Old Republic content ever.
That's true.
technically.
And then they have the Young Jedi Adventures, like Disney Junior show.
Yeah,
which
that
they'll
I do
probably talk
not
about for
care much
15 minutes.
about. I might watch like part of an episode.
No,
and
I
see if
wouldn't
it's
even
not
do that,
completely
Sam.
terrible.
Don't give them that. And then 20th Century has a bunch of 20th Century's like basically its own company.
Yeah, they're doing their own
So
thing.
they're just gonna be like, here's Amsterdam, here's
Okie dokie.
Avatar 2, here's some documentary. They're just gonna be like, it's gonna be completely unassociated random stuff.
Oh, well, Cena, what you doing?
Dog is back.
back there.
Dog's back.
Sniffing the rapper.
So, and then to close it out, Disney Channel and Disney Junior will have their own panel at 6:30 Eastern, where they're going to talk about
Doc
Disney Plus
McStuffins.
content. They're going to debate debut news. Their main thing is going to be Percy Jackson and the Olympians,
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
because that's the only thing anything they're making that anyone's going to actually
That
watch.
show has insane hype. Like
It's gonna-
that, the
Going to disappoint so many people.
people are ravenous
if
for
it
that show.
if it doesn't have a Lord of the Rings budget, people are going to flip out.
Well, but honestly, that's the kind of fan base that these books have.
yeah, no,
I mean,
they're
can
huge.
you think of a single?
It's
Can you
comparable
think
to
of
Harry
a
Potter.
single series of books that you have finished since Percy Jackson
Lord of the Rings.
that was written
Oh, they
after
didn't. Yeah,
Percy
no,
Jackson?
no, I don't read books.
Yeah, but you read all of Percy Jackson.
Yeah, but yeah,
Everyone did. That was like,
I'm dumb. I
what is
can't
the
read.
what is even the analogy for that? Like,
Harry Potter,
yeah, I guess the closest thing it's the Gen Z Harry Potter.
Twilight? I don't know.
No, because like
Remember Twilight?
millennials, that's like Harry Potter's their like book obsession, right? For Gen
guess.
Z, that's very much
It's clearly
Percy
Percy
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah.
And-
This will be
And
at least for the next 50 or so years the definitive version of the
for,
live action
for
adaptation.
Disney, like this is huge franchise potential.
I don't
here.
think Disney knows
the
what they
gold
have.
mine they're sitting on.
I
here.
don't think they realize what that is.
I mean, if you just think about, there's Percy Jackson, there's Heroes of Olympus, there's Trials of Apollo.
okay, but only two of those really matter.
These are all Percy Jackson.
Yeah, this is the all in that universe.
Magnus Chase, Kane Chronicles, whatever the other one he wrote is, like they're all in the same. Like this is infinite
They
franchise
could
money
easily
forever.
make Star Wars amount of movies
Yeah.
with this content.
Well, so they're gonna have Rick Riordan there, and they said they're gonna have special guests. I think they're just gonna have the
They'll
cast.
have the actor, yeah.
They'll have the cast there. They're shooting the show right now. They haven't wrapped filming yet.
Nerfed him.
Anyway, Percy Jackson. Yeah, this is huge potential for them. I mean, this is automatically you're getting 5 seasons.
At least.
Well, they're doing 1 season per book, so there's at least 5 seasons
And
just
there's
for this
well
show.
enough content in each
And
book
then
to do
there's
that.
5 Heroes of Olympus books, which are essentially just sequels to.
It's just
Percy
a
Jackson.
continuation. It's
So
literally the same
That's its
style
own. So
and
that's
everything.
5 more seasons. This is 10 seasons of content, all incredibly popular. I mean, you got huge potential here. The author
and very well written with
Yeah.
like the kind of representation of stuff that Disney's sort of like
Pushing
leaning
for.
towards. Yeah.
Rick Riordan is not not apathetic about it. Like you got the author on board. When does that ever happen?
Yeah, that I mean, I think since Harry Potter, that was the last time that the author actually was on board
Like
with the
he's
production.
not like super involved, but it's like not usually when they're like, we're gonna adapt this book, the author's like, I didn't know they were doing this until today. It's like...
it seems this has the potential to be Disney's next big IP, like their next Star Wars, their next Marvel, their next big thing. Because if you look at Warner Brothers' big IPs, which IP did they choose to make their whole theme park based on?
Harry Potter.
The Harry Potter.
I think that's
Harry
technically
Potter
Universal.
Whatever. You
So,
know what I mean.
Disney Plus. This is what they got. This is what Disney like channel is working on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a lot of this I've never heard of. Under Wraps 2. They're doing Under Wraps 2, Sam.
What does that even mean?
Remember the Disney Channel original movie Under Wraps?
When were the mummies
About a
there?
mummy. The Santa Clauses. That's the Santa Claus sequel
spin-off
show. Oh, Willow. Lucasfilm's probably going to talk about Willow.
Oh, they still are making that?
And yeah, it's already filmed. Mysterious
Whatever
Benedict
happened to that
Society's getting a
jukebox
second
musical
season. What?
Remember when George Lucas made a jukebox musical about fairies? Strange Magic.
Strange Magic.
It was for girls.
That
Because
was
he
a-
said Star Wars was for boys.
That was a big
for
hit.
girls.
Yeah, I'm glad he made that 40 years after Star. Way to go, George.
Way to let your priorities
While your
show
brother
there.
was in the theater seeing Star Wars, you grew up into a middle-aged woman, and then
And
you got
then
to go
you
to
got
the
to see a crappy animated movie.
George is such a feminist. Disney Channel just pumps out like millions of things a year. I'm sure they're going to talk about High School Musical, the series, season 4.
It's got a lot of hype behind
wrapping
it.
up. I haven't watched it yet. I watched the first
I haven't
two
watched
seasons.
any of it. I'm not planning on it.
I'm considering not finishing it.
All right, yeah, that's what I did with Riverdale. They got to the part where there was an evil magic cult, and I kind of was like, that's a little stupid for this sort of gritty lived-in world. And now there's time-traveling witches, and they've totally lost me. So
Hey, they're entering their final season. You might have to tune back in.
Maybe I will, but I definitely actually won't do that.
I'm still watching The Flash, baby. I'm
planning on
ride or
catching up
die
on Flash.
for season
that
9.
I do want to.
I think it would be fun week to week to talk about The Flash season.
Yeah,
9.
I think we should. The countdown to the end.
It's been, it'll be 9
Nearly
years.
a decade of
nearly
of the
a
Flash.
decade of The Flash.
That's crazy.
We're showing up.
Well, it started off good and then it got really dumb. Okay.
Almost as if the first season they were stretching out a screenplay so it felt like a multi-episode movie, and then after that they were like, what do we do now?
Yeah, all right. I think that's pretty much it
Reverse
for,
Flash and
for,
an armor
for
mech?
Disney Plus D23 time.
You want
we need
to
to
talk
move on
about
because we got
other stuff?
Yeah, we gotta go because we got 30% battery left.
Okay.
And we started with 89.
You want to talk? We went to see that Spider-Man re-release, Sam.
We did see the Spider-Man re-release.
Is it worth it? That's the question.
I will say, if you're a big fan of Spider-Man, and of course we saw it for $3, which for $3
now.
absolutely was worth it.
Yeah, it's
For the $10 ticket price, if you only saw Spider-Man one time in theaters,
it might be worth
and
it.
you're a big fan of the movie, you kind of want to see it again just because you think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth it. The extra scenes
They
don't add
anything.
a whole lot.
They add nothing.
There's a couple of good jokes that they
yeah,
threw in
there's
there that
some
was
funny stuff.
especially the school interview scenes. Those
Yeah.
are great. I love those.
So if you're
They don't make a whole lot. See, the scenes that they cut out don't make a whole lot of sense. Like they don't. A lot of them sort of muddy the logic of the world a little bit, but they're funny. So whatever. Take that as you will.
if you're thinking that the scenes they added are like substantial, like stuff they cut, like that, like anything, if it had special effects in it, then they did not put it back in the movie. Anything that had a special effects shot, whether it was a blue screen background or like a whole action scene, none of that's back in. It's basically all the new footage is like bonus feature deleted scenes.
Yeah, this is stuff that would have
that
been
they
on the
just kind of
Blu-ray.
cram back in. Yeah, this would have been like a bonus feature where like it's clip interviews with school staff members. Like they just put all that stuff back in. It's nothing new.
One thing I didn't know until after. You know that scene where Spider-Man webs up the purse thief?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Tom Holland's brother.
It is.
Yeah, so I don't know why they cut that out. That should have just been in the movie. But that scene wasn't even that long. That was like 30 seconds that they cut. Like why did you
there's some interesting stuff they add, but it's if you're going just for new stuff, you are going to be disappointed because there's nothing really that new. If you're going just to see the movie again with some like little extra bits, then it's worth it. I say if you just want to watch the movie again,
and you want to,
and
you're curious about
if you haven't seen it since it came out, I would probably say go see it, especially since we're in such a drought. But if you've already like bought it on Blu-ray and seen it 3 times, just wait. I'm sure they'll release this on like Amazon.
Also,
Prime
watching
Video.
that movie again was like, huh. Every Marvel movie they released since this one
is
really
much
sucks.
worse.
This movie's freaking awesome, and it was amazing, and it was emotional, and I like it.
Remember
and
when
every other one is just not that.
Remember when it had emotional stakes and interesting character development? And
remember when the character like developed?
You know, it was really, really missing a scene where Post Malone showed up and he smoked weed with Peter Parker. In his
I
bedroom.
think they should add that in the next.
And then they twerked.
No. Okay, here's what I think they should do in the Disney Plus freshman year Spider-Man show. There needs to be an episode where Eminem comes to his school and they do a dab. That's a whole, and that's a post-credit scene. It doesn't connect to anything else that happens in the show.
Absolutely not.
But I think it would be funny if they did.
It'd be really, really, really good. No, I mean, it's.
Speaking of this obvious transition we're making,
You want to talk about a show I barely care enough to watch week to week?
a show that
Even though it's only 20 minutes an episode?
this show exists.
She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
They could change the subtitle to She-Hulk is a show we have.
Okay. Every single time someone talks about this show, one side is crazy and is like, we hate it when there are women. And then the other side is like,
If you
you're
criticize
wrong.
the show, it's because you hate women.
This is basically like Citizen Kane, but a TV show. And then there's me who's like, this is a mediocre cable sitcom that no one would bother to
that
watch.
had a budget that was a little
If
too
it
high.
wasn't, if it didn't have a Marvel nameplate stuck on it. If it didn't have Marvel Studios on the top
and the word Hulk in the title,
then no one would care. Because if it's not that, it's basically just
if
like
the show was called Jennifer Walters, Attorney at Law, which in my opinion would also better represent what the show is actually about, no one would.
It would be
the show.
everyone would treat it as a mediocre network legal comedy, which is what it is. Which is whatever. My problem with it is it's just like it's not a very
My problem is
well structured sitcom.
the show doesn't have enough characters.
No, it doesn't. At least not well defined characters.
Like, okay, every other workplace sitcom, which is what this is, has a cast of characters that bounce and work well off each other.
Well, yeah, and they're set up immediately like the whole point of sitcoms is that they're caricatures
and they're easy to understand.
You're supposed to be able to easily understand them and relate to them and like compare them with and associate them with people you know in your real life.
Yeah,
that's the entire point of a workplace sitcom.
You're supposed to see Kevin from The Office and go, "Aha! I have a fat coworker who says those things that Kevin says."
Yeah, like that's the whole point. My problem with this show is that the first episode is an origin story, which is whatever. It's fine, but it doesn't like properly set up what the rest of the show is. So then in episode 2. The premise is set up really fast.
Yeah.
But that is essentially the pilot for the show. The first episode is like...
Is an excuse for why the show's happening.
Is an origin.
Yeah.
The second episode is the setup. And then the third episode, they're just jumping straight into like... What would be like the ninth episode.
Well, they resolve the whole setup.
The third episode is basically what would be like the ninth episode if this was
any
normal
other
legal show. So the problem is that like they have this like supporting cast of like 3 or 4 characters, but like... You don't know anything about them or like their personality traits, but they like pretend like you do. The only character who's
the only one who kind of works as a caricature is the one like dirtbag lawyer guy.
Yeah, there's 2 that you like sort of understand. One is the peppy best friend, and
she's barely in the show.
That's all we know about it.
2 scenes in the whole show.
She's the peppy best. That's all we know about her. And then there's sexist man,
and I think his character's kind of funny.
That's fine.
I kind of like.
But like
character.
that problem is there's like 3 other characters that are in the show that you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So while you're over here doing like, haha, he dumb, it's like, okay, well, the guy he's sitting next to who is supposed to be a major character, I don't even know his name.
what that guy is.
Yeah. So
like, if we run through the characters, we have She-Hulk, and she's fairly fleshed out. Like we understand her character at this point. we have the best friend who I don't know her name, and she's only had like 3
Is her
scenes.
name Nikki? It might be Nikki.
I think because there's the scene in the opening where she's in the office. There's the scene in the courtroom where she tells She-Hulk to She-Hulk. And there's the scene in the latest episode where she goes, Wong worked at a library. Those are the 3 scenes that she's in.
Oh,
so
yeah,
far.
Wong showed up for 5 seconds.
We have the lawyer
Nikki,
guy.
yeah, her name is Nikki.
He's kind of funny. I think he works in the context of the show very well. We have the boss of the law firm. We also know
whose
nothing
name is Boss
about.
Man.
His name's just Boss Man. But he's not even funny. Like, Ron Swanson was the same Boss Man character, but he was funny.
Normally when
Michael Scott was the Boss Man character, but he was funny.
No, he's just like a guy.
He's just, we work at a law firm. Jennifer Walters, we got a law case to do.
And
have you ever done law? We got laws here. You know this country's got laws? I'm going to tell you those laws. Well, actually, you know those laws. You're going to go tell other people those laws.
Yeah.
Like, he has no personality.
We spend the first 2 episodes with the Abomination storyline thing, and it's kind of boring. Like,
I think it makes sense.
It tracks like logically with what's going on in the universe.
But I just don't really
But it's not very engaging. Like,
I don't care about that.
It's like a little too like simple to be like, where's this going? And again, none of the characters are well defined enough within the context of the show for it to work comedically.
And there's no tension to the law scene at all. Like, there's supposed to be this she's pleading the case for this guy's release because he served his time. He should be good to go.
Yeah.
But then this video surfaces of him fighting Wong in that
which
scene
we saw from Shang-Chi.
The problem is Wong completely clears the story.
Yeah.
So the only tension is they're just waiting for Wong to show up. There's no other lawyer in the case for one thing.
Which is funny.
It's her just by herself.
Which is like funny for like a bit, but when like 5 minutes of your show, the only tension is when is Wong going to show up? It gets kind of boring.
And you know he's going to show up.
Because it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I'm not anticipating anything.
No, I know it's going to happen. If he didn't show up and that screwed her over, now she's mad at Wong and Wong's kind of a criminal.
Now we got to have a creative problem solving.
There's actually something going on. There's a plot now. But since they just wait for a thing to happen, thing happens.
A lot of the
and that's all the resolution. Like, that's just not interesting.
Yeah. And again, like, if your main characters in your story are Wong and Abomination, it's not like Wong, when we've seen him in other things, is a sitcom character. So when you put him in that context,
he comes off weird.
You can't have the jokes come from him as a character because he's not set up in that way.
And they did have him making jokes.
Yeah.
Which contrasted with his, and not because he makes jokes in Doctor Strange, but he's very dry, very sarcastic. He really only ever makes jabs at Steven. That's really the only joke.
And the joke is that he's making jokes in those movies. But when he's just making jokes in a goofy network sitcom, it doesn't track well because you're not used to that version of that character.
Because the joke before was this serious character said something funny.
Now the joke is
funny. Character
in sitcom says joke.
It's like, okay, he tells jokes, I guess.
It would be like if a character it would be like if the comic relief character from like Law and Order Organized Crime showed up in Parks and Recreation and was like just like cracking jokes like he was a character on Parks and Recreation when it's not consistent with what we've seen him in before.
No, it would be like if you took I don't know, if you took like, I'm trying to think of it. If you took any of the regular Teen Titans and dropped them into an episode of Teen Titans Go, and he was just making quips like he was a Teen Titans Go character, and you're just like, you're not supposed to be here. Like, it would have been. It's kind of jarring to see that.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't find it very engaging. We get the slightest hints of an ongoing storyline in the 3rd episode.
We did
with the Wrecking Crew showing up.
Right.
And
because they try to steal her blood.
Trying to steal her blood, so we're doing Red Hulk.
Yeah, we're doing Red Hulk.
We're gonna do Red Hulk.
100%. It's either Red Hulk or Red She-Hulk.
Or both.
I think they might just skip Red Hulk since no one cares about him, and they might just go straight.
Well,
to
their other problem is that William Hurt died, so
his daughter is around, and you can give her the Red She-Hulk,
and then they can do a punch.
You got them both punching each other.
And this very hyper-feminist show will continue the notion that female characters are only allowed to fight other female characters.
Yeah, in case you guys haven't noticed, in TV shows, anytime there's like a female like fighter character, like any woman who's typically fighting with a group of men, she will always win the
no.
fight unless she is fighting another woman. And then it will be either equal footing or she will lose the fight every time. We used to make fun of it in Chuck all the time because there's the character Sarah on the show, and she's like the strongest CIA agent. The only time she ever struggles to win fights is when it's another girl.
Yeah. In terms of, Hulk's on the show for a minute, and everyone got upset because he didn't stop that truck when she was trying to drive away.
Yeah, because again, it's supposed to be a funny show, but like, there's just a lot of moments that just break the world of Marvel, and it's not distant enough to have its own rules, but it's constantly breaking the rules of the universe it's in, which I think causes a lot of like discontent with a lot of fans.
How do you feel about the fourth wall breaks? I find them jarring.
Because she doesn't do it
horribly inconsistent
with context.
No,
she just, and it's always a moment when she's by herself, so it's not like she's doing it in front of other characters and the other characters are like, what just happened? Like, she's only ever does it when she's by herself, which then raises the question, is her character doing it, or is this just like her internal monologue? Like, what is this?
Yeah, and also like
with Deadpool, it's very clear because the audience knows that Deadpool knows he's in a show. But when you see She-Hulk do it, she doesn't. Well, and he also behaves like he knows he's in a show.
Yeah,
She-Hulk doesn't behave like she knows she's in a show.
She just does it randomly.
She behaves like she's a serious character in a serious world.
With Deadpool, there's always this like layer of there's always this relationship with the audience where even if Deadpool is not directly breaking the wall in a scene, you can tell by like his mannerisms and by his dialogue that he's aware of what he's doing is not that serious because it's a movie or TV show. She-Hulk, there's like She-Hulk that's in the show that's like fully invested in what's going on, and that's the whole show is about. Yeah. And then like it maybe once or twice an episode,
she just talks to the audience.
She switches character, talks to the audience for 2 seconds, and then goes back to being full on like focused on what's going on.
And her character in the show isn't aware of the things her character is telling the audience.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. In that world,
it less feels like like Jennifer Walters is breaking the fourth wall, and more like Tatiana Maslany like green screened in explaining things to the audience.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's not funny because some of it is.
Some of the jokes that they do with that bit are good jokes.
But my problem is that it's so inconsistent, like in terms of the relationship with the character with the audience, and also like when they use it. It happens like once in the first episode for like a second. And then it happens like 4 times in the second, and then it happens like twice in the third.
Yeah.
It's so inconsistent. It feels just like an afterthought that they were like, oh, we should have her break the fourth wall.
It's like, we can do this, I guess.
But we already wrote all 9 scripts. It's fine. Just like write jokes in every now and then.
It very much feels like an afterthought.
Yeah, it feels very. We have as when this comes out, there'll be 4, but when we're recording,
we've only seen the first 3 right now.
It can get better. I mean, comedies in general
take a while.
Never start off good.
Yeah,
they always take time. So I'm gonna give it a break with that, because even if it was just a straight network sitcom, it wouldn't start off good anyway.
Yeah.
It's gotta take time to find its footing. I feel like it's gonna have a WandaVision type problem where it's gonna focus really, really hard on the sitcom stuff to start, and then it'll like really like the storyline will kick in, and all that stuff is gonna have to take a back seat, and neither one of them will feel like they were like properly spent any time with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's She-Hulk. CGI,
there's not much else to say.
Not great, but you know what?
It doesn't have Uncanny Valley vibes, which is
no, I don't think
that's
so.
Impressive.
That's good.
That's a good place to be at, but it's not good enough for it to not be distracting.
Yeah, it is. It's distracting because you're looking for like the inconsistencies.
Yeah, you know it's fake, so you're looking for it to be fake.
And I feel like Hulk, you can kind of like, this is a level of disconnect because he's like a cartoonishly oversized muscular man.
Much faker looking.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for realism in his character.
She-Hulk is essentially just like a female MMA fighter.
She-Hulk,
who's very tall,
proportionally looks like a regular woman. She's larger. But she's like if you took a regular woman, clicked her, and made her a little bit bigger in Photoshop. Like she's not proportionally like the Hulk has like tree arms. Like he's gargantuan.
Yeah.
Like. And he's not just tall, he's like
there's no level of realism to the Hulk.
Yeah, whereas Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk is very much
which is why I think they should have just gone with one of the more muscular Hulk versions. That would have been
they could have fixed a lot of that problem if they made her look a little bit less real, if they muscled her up more,
put her in more, made her look more like in the Hulk fashion, where she's just,
closer to the Hulk. Because if you make her less more close to Marvel swimsuit calendar number 61 Hulk.
So, did you like the part where Megan Thee Stallion shows up?
That is a part where she does show up.
He has like 2 lines, and they twerk.
She's there once in the courtroom scene. And it's kind of funny. Here's your well, one, why is Megan Thee Stallion here? Okay. 2, Megan Thee Stallion's here. Okay.
And then they bring her back for the post-credit scene, and they do a twerk, and everyone got really upset. My problem is less so that they're twerking. My problem is more so that it's like...
It was just unrelated.
Look, it's Megan Thee Stallion, famous rapper woman.
Listen
to her song.
Like, what's going on? And a lot of people made the criticism, well, if Deadpool did it, no one would care. Again, back to what we were talking about before. Deadpool knows his world is ridiculous. Jennifer Walters doesn't know or behave as if her world is ridiculous. So when something ridiculous happens, especially when it's not directly correlated, I mean, it was kind of related because she was mentioned in a court case, but she was not involved in the plot.
Yeah.
She was just mentioned. So, what is she even,
and why is she even here? A lot of people made the argument that, Peter Quill does a dance in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, that's because it's an integral part of the story, and he did that very intentionally.
He did that in order to confuse the person he was fighting, not because, what's a person, Star-Lord, not because Michael Jackson showed up, started boogieing down, and Star-Lord was like, oh, Michael Jackson, you're so cool, I'm a boogie down with you.
I compared it to, it's like you said, it'd be like if at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, Michael Jackson is just there and they do a moonwalk. And then
if the post-credit scene, Star-Lord's in his spaceship, Michael Jackson from Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the one where he's in space, walks in. That way it kind of makes sense. Yeah. He walks in, he goes, I'm Michael Jackson, and it's time to space boogie. And Star-Lord's like, you're right, Michael Jackson. It is time to space boogie. And then they space boogie. It'd be you'd be so confused because that doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. Anyway, it's just
my message always in these circumstances is that if you're angry, if you're horribly volatile on either side of this,
you don't care that much.
Dude, it's not important at all. Let it go.
You will forget that this show even aired within a week of it finishing.
Whether She-Hulk ever existed, whether it didn't exist at all, or whether it was the most popular show on the planet right now, none of this matters. There's 97 other Marvel shows coming out next week,
and you'll forget all about it.
You'll forget all about it. There is other quality sitcoms you will watch later that you will actually enjoy without the Marvel part.
And the sad thing is there's a lot of legal dramas, but there really aren't any legal comedies. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for humor there.
Yeah.
And they're just not taking advantage of the place that they are.
Are you forgetting about Night Court?
That's not even a comedy.
It's a sitcom.
It a comedy? I haven't seen Night Court.
Everyone's seen Night Court.
No one has seen Night Court.
Everyone and their mother has seen at least one episode of Night Court.
Let's move on because we're running low. Tucker, what's you talking about with Amazon?
Okay,
tell us your Amazon thing.
As we all know, we were gonna try to talk about She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, and Rings of Power all this week as a catch up. But I didn't get to House of the Dragon or Rings of Power.
We'll talk about House of the Dragon when it finishes its first season.
Yeah, and apparently Rings of Power is super boring, so I
haven't even seen Rings of Power.
I might wait for something to happen before I watch it.
I've only seen the first 20 minutes of the first Lord of the Rings movie. I've seen clips of The Hobbit, one of them, because there's 3 for some reason.
There's 3 for some reason.
And I've seen That's It from Lord of the Rings. I've not invested in that. I've seen all of Game of Thrones. It took me... Okay, I started watching the show the year the 8th season was coming out. Mm-hmm. I got all the way up to season 7. I forgot the show existed for 2 years. I finished season 8 2 years after it aired. And I was like, okay, that's a way to end a show. And then House of the Dragon came out, and I'm like, I guess I'm invested at this point. Yes, I'll watch this one. And so far, this one has been really good. But we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah, so since you've seen Game of Thrones... and I've seen Lord of the
We
Rings.
could just each do one of them.
We'll each watch one, and since they're essentially airing on like the same schedule,
Yeah.
we'll just compare and contrast super high budget fantasy series whenever they
Yeah,
finish
that
up.
makes sense.
Anyway,
Amazon.
So, as we know, that Lord of the Rings show cost Amazon $1 billion to make, right?
All
So,
the money.
They're also developing a series called Citadel, being produced by Joe and Anthony Russo, that is
Okay.
already on track to be the second most expensive TV series of all time.
Okay,
The
for
series is
Lord of the Rings, blow all the money on it.
The series is a
What is Citadel?
is a 7-episode spy thriller that was meant to launch multiple spin-offs for Amazon, but creative differences among the writing staff led to over half the staff leaving and being replaced. The show also experienced major reshoots after over 8 months of filming. So they filmed.
That's good.
So they wrote a show. They filmed the show for 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
They decided they didn't like it. So half the writing staff left. They reshot most of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're recutting the entire thing with the Russos more involved where they were before. And it's likely to cost over $250 million at the end of the day.
Really dumb.
For a non-IP original show.
That's real dumb. That's a real dumb decision.
So Amazon will have the trophy of having the first and second most expensive TV series
good
ever
job,
produced.
Amazon. You're doing the Lord's work. All right. Moving on to my recommended news. Pokemon had a whole new trailer thing today. Came out. I didn't realize it came out until I went on Twitter and saw people like talking about stuff that was in it.
Mm-hmm.
They added a big crab Pokemon. He looks real creepy. He's got big bug eyes. They're sticking out looking at you. And he's also really big, which is kind of, it's based on that, you know, that Japanese crab is real big. It walks around like the surface of the ocean. Just like, oh, that one.
The kaiju? What are you talking about?
A big crab. He's a big crab Pokemon. It's based on that animal. They added these 2 Pokemon that are like humanoid Pokemon. They kind of look like Mega Man characters.
That's cool.
One of them's got big like metal shoulder pads, and he puts his arms together and then make a big gun and he shoots. And the other one has got swords for hands that are made out of fire, which is really cool. Everyone's gonna get that one because that one's way cooler than the freaking.
I don't know. The other one has a gun.
It's okay. It's a gun in name only. It's really just a big chunk of metal that is in the shape of a sword.
I hope the move itself is called gun.
It's called armor cannon because it's armor and
Boo! Call it armor gun.
The other one I think is called like Malice Blade or something like that, something along those lines, which is way cooler. The other one's just way cooler. I don't know what happened there, but anyway.
Oh, here's what happened. They decided they were gonna do 2 similar Pokemon.
Only came up with one idea.
They designed one, and then they went, "What do we do for the other one? This one's swords. This one can be gun."
Well, okay. The thing is, yeah, it's a sword and like a gun one, but he has really big like armor pads when he's not pointing his into a gun, which is kind of like a sword and shield thing. So
Why
what
was
are
he
these
not in
Pokemon
Sword
doing
and
in
Shield?
Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah.
But anyway, we also got information on the 3 big stories that they said. You know, they said they have 3 different stories this
Is
time.
one of them an evil team? One of them you're trying to become the champion, and the other one something else unrelated?
So I will tell you because we have the names of those stories now. There's Achieve Champion Rank along Victory Road, which is the full name of one of the stories. Achieve Champion Rank along Victory Road.
Which is the game.
I'm sure you can use your big noggin to figure out what that
I don't know.
that
Might need
means.
some assistance.
The second one is called Path of Legends, which I'm assuming
Legendary
is
one.
the legendary part.
Catch
They're
the
just
legendary
separating those
to
2
do the thing.
parts. And then the last one is called Starfall Street, which is
The
presumably
team one.
the evil team one. So, and we also got more images of the evil team, like sort of what their vibe is.
Are we back to actual evil team
So we don't know that
instead
we
of
have
like dumb
one,
street gang?
We have one piece of promotional art that sort of represents the vibe of the team. So right now, all we have is a girl standing on top of a truck, looking sort of menacingly like, and a bunch of dudes sitting on Pokemon that look kind of like motorcycles, like in a circle.
Oh, they're like a biker gang.
Yeah, so I'm thinking sort of like Team Skull, but they're like somehow less mean.
Why did they? I don't understand why they stopped doing like intimidating.
I think it's because
Teams.
the Gen 6 team was just too evil. Just like
They were-
insanely evil for like no reason. And then they were like, okay, well, let's hard redirect.
Goofy.
Yeah, so I guess just to summarize the teams, there's Team Rocket, they just steal Pokemon. That's their only thing. There was Team Rocket again. They were doing the same thing. there was Team Magma and Team Aqua, who were trying to make more land and flood more land, respectively. There was Team Galactic, who were trying to destroy the universe and make a new one. They were kind of crazy. Then there was Team Plasma, who just had moral objections to Pokemon fighting each other for human amusement.
And they solved this by fighting the trainer
and I guess for some reason they were the bad guys. And then there was Gen 6, where the bad guy was just
Team Flare.
Team Flare. He was just a rich dude who wanted to murder everyone with a giant laser.
He was super conflicted about it. He was like, I don't want to
murder
everyone.
He didn't want to do it. He was just like, humanity
But I feel
sucks.
obligated.
He's like, humanity is so corrupt, I have to blow them all up, but I feel really bad about it. There's a scene where he straight up like starts crying about it, which that happened. Anyway, and then in Gen 7, it was Team Skull. And they just kind of...
They were like a group of kids.
Really liked bugs.
Yeah.
They stole all the bug stones.
And then there was...
Team... Well, then there was Team Rainbow Rocket, which was like... was like an interdimensional fusion of every team.
That doesn't really count. It was a DLC
It was like a DLC thing.
And then there was Team Yell.
Team Yell.
Team Yell wasn't even evil.
Team Yell sucked.
Team Yell was just
They're
like
not even a team.
They're like a club.
They were just like some dudes who would like stand around with signs. Like they didn't do anything the whole game. They just stood around. At least Team Skull was like doing something, and their designs were cool. Team Yell, there was not a single named member of the team.
They weren't. They were intentionally not evil.
Yeah, like in Team Skull, there was Guzma, who was like the main guy. There was like his girlfriend who looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there was like they had like captains who had names. I don't remember their names though. Whereas Team Skull was just two like fat dudes with mohawks. That was it. But yeah, so I can show you these.
What are we Googling, Sam?
I'm showing you the image of this so you can have context.
The new team.
So this is what they look like.
Okay.
Can't move the computer a whole lot.
Okay, let me scoot over. I'm gonna roll into Sam's camera frame. So for our audio listeners, it's
a bunch of dudes sitting on motorcycle Pokemons.
Surrounded what looks like a concert stage that's alive,
and
it's a bunch of people on motorcycles.
That's a truck. We've seen this car in the other trailers. It's a big car.
So they're a street gang. They're Mad Max. They're going Mad Max.
Yeah, they're Mad Max dudes. Which I think Mad Max villains could be cool,
especially if it's open world.
Especially if it's open world. If they're villains,
they're actually
they
evil
have to be villains.
At least like antagonists.
They just have to be mean. They don't even have to be evil. They just have to like be unpleasant to be around. That's all I ask.
That's all we ask for in the villains.
We ask
of the
very
Pokemon
little
franchise.
from Pokemon. They don't.
The bar for Pokemon
is
so low.
So low. It is cataclysmically low.
If any other studio like did what like that would be in like Pokemon terms like a massive achievement. If any other studio did that like respective to their game series, it would be a massive disappointment.
The Pokemon games are like capable of turning on and everyone's like, wow, it turns on. Like
their bare minimum for quality is that it retains the same features the last game
I love these games. I buy pretty much all of them. I'm gonna buy this one too. But like, do better, please. Please do better. Anyway, all right.
I remember when I bought Sword.
Oh, yeah, so
it came out, I played it for 2 hours, and then I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I just turned it off and didn't pick it up for like 9 months.
The base game for Sword and Shield is really...
It's so bad.
Really...
The map...
It's
a straight line up.
The map is the worst part of Sword and Shield.
That's it.
And the trails don't have any branching paths either.
No,
they're all
straight lines.
There's the one with caves, but they only go in one direction. It's basically still a straight line.
Feels like it was designed by like 9-year-olds on graph paper.
Yeah.
Like for like a school assignment that was due in 30 minutes. And they were like, okay, this one goes up and then this one goes to the side and then up and then they all go up and there's a thing at the top. All right, guys, we did the map.
Yeah, it was not a good map. The DLC fixed that a lot. The DLC...
I didn't play it.
Yeah, Tucker didn't play it. But in my opinion, the DLC fixes all the problems the map had because they add 2 more wild areas that are both bigger than the original one. And there's so much content in those wild areas that, in my opinion, it justifies.
I sure do love it when Nintendo basically releases the campaigns for the video games that have already come out, even though they're entirely campaign focused.
The wild areas that they added were clearly not finished when the game originally.
Yeah,
came out.
I'm not saying
clearly
they were
that it was they. They didn't intend to add more, and they did.
But Nintendo always feels like they add like what would be key parts of the campaign as like DLC like way later.
Yeah, and the stories of each like
remember
wild area were they were
like
I finished them each in a day, but it was a lot of content.
Remember when like Splatoon 2 they released that actual campaign for that game 2 years after it came out?
And they made you pay like $16
for it. $20 for it.
Yeah, it was dumb. All right. We have anything else? We're on 8%.
It was another kind of slow week. Not a lot going on right now.
We'll have a lot when Disney Plus Day or D23 happens.
We're in like the desert of movie news and releases right now.
There's nothing going on.
Nothing is. Everyone is HBO Max has shot itself
the Apple event. We could talk about that real quick.
I don't know anything about Apple.
Okay, so
let's wait and have Patrick on because he knows what you're talking about.
He's not gonna remember. There's a new Apple Watch. It's made of titanium and it's more rugged. It has like survivalist
Doesn't it cost
features.
$1,000?
I think so, but it's made of titanium. It has it's I think 100 meters of water resistance, which is like 400 feet, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just overall much more rugged and durable. There's the iPhone 14, the normal one, which is quite literally exactly the same, even processor-wise, as the iPhone 13. The only difference is it has satellite connectivity now, and it has slightly better thermal performance.
Sam, the iPhone 14 has a 6.1-inch display.
Yes, so does the iPhone 13.
Has your longest battery life ever.
Yeah, that's because it's
the
got
emergency SOS via satellite.
Those are the three things I just said.
It's got a huge leap in lightweight and low light photos.
So the cameras are always slightly better.
Apple website says it's
although the cameras actually they do perform I think twice as good in low light.
Beautiful durability, 5 colors.
And then the iPhone 14 Pro, which is really the only one they meaningfully upgraded.
Oh, I thought I was looking at the iPhone 13 for a second because they're literally identical.
They look the same. Yeah. The iPhone 14 Pro actually does look different. So they moved the cameras into a little orb at the top
instead of a notch, even though it's the same size and in the same place.
But if you look at some of the promotional stuff they have for the way they're doing the notch, they're doing it so much better than the original one. They have it so it's sort of a little black ball there. Anytime you get a notification, it sort of opens up and becomes part of that little black ball, and then it sort of retreats back. Like the Face ID, whenever you do it, it sort of expands to a little square, does the Face ID, and goes back. If you have a call, it sort of lives in that little bubble at the top. They're calling it the dynamic island.
Wow.
But it's really just a creative way of making the notch a little bit less.
It's a little smaller.
Well, it's smaller, and it works better, in my opinion, when you use it as part of the operating system and less of a limitation. Or we could use your laptop.
No, we're gonna do this. Hi, everybody. So we were recording the end of the episode,
and the laptop died.
And Sam's computer died, so it cut off abruptly. And we have the file, which is what you just saw. But it does mean that we gotta wrap this up on the phone with no mic audio. So hi. It's the same time.
Speaking of iPhones, they do have.
Speaking of iPhones, Sam, you want to talk about whatever the heck
so
we're
we
talking
were in the
about?
middle of talking about the iPhone 14 because we're covering we cover Apple events too.
I'm bleeding. That's
not when we started doing that. We do that. So we were in the middle of talking about the iPhone 14. Where was I? You're right. The notch thing. They changed the notch. They just made it better looking.
Dynamic Island is a dumb name.
Yeah, the name is really dumb. if you go on there and you look at some of the ways they're using it, it is a little bit more creative than
the iPhone Pro Max has 4 colors. Okay, it's space black. All right,
and not space gray.
Normally it's jet black, but whatever.
Well, normally it was space gray, and now it's space black.
Silver, which is just white.
Yeah.
Gold, and the new color, deep purple.
Purple.
Deep purple.
All right.
That's just gray.
Is it just gray?
It's gray.
Oh, it's sort of like Sort of like how the new one had that like really pale blue color. It's sort of like a really pale purple.
Deep purple is.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite of deep purple.
But the name is goofy as
yeah, that name sounds like a disease.
Deep purple. It's got. Look at all these new features. It's kind of neat, the Apple website, but I hate how you have to scroll forever as like all their little animations play out. I would much rather just be a bullet.
That's the Apple way. It's got to look
long, pretty, but long and totally impractical.
Yes,
in any sense of the word.
That's Apple's favorite things to do.
Sam, can you guess what the new main feature they upgraded is?
Other than the notch,
the camera's better again because that's all they ever upgrade. So the cameras have been, I believe, 12 megapixels pretty much since the iPhone 6S. They pretty much haven't increased in megapixel count. They've added more cameras, but they're not better.
This one they went from, I think it was like 12 or 16 to like 48. Like they dramatically increased the amount of megapixels the sensor has, which is really good. So you can basically zoom in to a photo, I believe it's ×2, and get the same quality that the current iPhone can take pictures at.
They upgraded the glass again, which they always do.
Yeah, they always make the glass better.
Water resistance is better. They updated the colors again. Now we have blue, purple, midnight.
Yeah, we talked about the regular
starlight, and product red TM.
Yes, that's the AIDS one.
Is that still what it's for?
Yeah, that's what all the anything product red.
Didn't they used to do that like after the phone come out?
They used to do it a few months after, but then they stopped doing that. Now they just released a new color a few months after.
Okay.
So it was with the last phones. I don't remember what color. I think it was purple that they released. They always have a color that they release late.
I mean, purple is now one of the standard ones.
Yeah.
Although if I were to tell you to identify purple in this lineup, could you tell me which one's supposed to be purple? This one?
That's barely colored.
Yeah, this one.
But yeah, so they added. We got the new phones. Only the 14 Pro got a new processor. I believe the regular one is just thermally more efficient, and so it gets better battery life and doesn't get as hot.
So is it worth it? The price range went up by like $300 though.
Oh, and we got new AirPods Pros.
Did we?
Yes. So those, I think, in terms of product-to-product upgrades, was the biggest upgrade
it AirPods
of everything
Pro
they announced.
or AirPods Max?
It's just AirPods Pro.
AirPods Pro
AirPods Max
second
is
generation.
a different thing. Yeah. So they have 2 times the noise canceling that they had before. Which, if you've used AirPods Pros, the noise canceling on those is already industry-leading in terms of earbuds. They're crazy, and to double that is demonstrably
adjust the volume with a swipe.
Yeah, so they added. So you know how before it was just the clicky stems. Now you can tap it and do the clicky stems. So that's
actually useful.
That's actually good because not a single pair of AirPods has had freaking volume control until these ones.
You have to get
which is insane. They're $200. The ones that come with your phone have the thing you can change the volume. That's ridiculous. Anyway, they finally fixed it. It only took them like a million years. That's the thing. The case has a speaker in it for Find My, which is really cool. So if you lose them, it can bing at you. They have better drivers. They just sound better. And then they have, for transparency mode, they're adding another version of it, where it's transparency mode, so you can still hear everything. But for like loud or annoying noises, it'll tune just those out. So like if someone's like mowing, if you're going on a walk and you're on transparency mode, so you can hear people around you. If someone's mowing their lawn, it'll cut out just mowing the lawn. Or like that's just an example. But that's cool. How it's meant to work. I think that's pretty much off the top of my head. That's
AR stuff.
Yeah, it has enhanced spatial audio.
Let's see, new AirPods Pro.
And they're the same price.
$250.
They're the same price as the old ones, that's great. Love to see it.
There's no new AirPods Max though. They forgot those existed.
Well, those are just. I don't think they can improve those meaningfully.
Probably because they're just basic studio headphones.
No, they're just they're really high quality. You basically can't make Bluetooth headphones better than that. So making a sequel product, at least right now,
the iPhone 14 Pro, which is essentially the new iPhone.
The new one, the iPhone 14 regular. The only real difference is satellite connectivity.
The iPhone 13.
The only real difference is the satellite because it requires additional hardware. That was the only hardware change. which if you're, trapped in the desert and you're dying of thirst, that's useful. Problem is, it's only free for the first 2 years. Then you gotta start paying for it. So, if you're stranded in the desert, you need water, and it's 2 years after you bought your phone, you're gonna have to cop Apple $100 and you die? Like, what is that?
So, the iPhone 14 Pro starts at $1,000, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max Mega Ultra Director's Cut featuring Karate Steve from the Karate Steve franchise starts at $1,100. Keyword being start, because if you want the full terabyte version, that's going to cost you $1,500.
But you'd be really dumb to buy a terabyte phone storage, unless there's
The
one
512
caveat. There's
is
one caveat.
1,000.
If you are using it as a cinema camera, which some people do, some movies do.
Okay,
use
but if
certain
you're
action
gonna
shots.
hawk out $1,500 for a really nice camera, just buy a really nice.
Well, no, some studios use them for like action cameras, because you can't take a $1,500 camera, dunk it in a pool, or run it through the mud. It'll destroy it. You can run an iPhone through the mud, and it'll probably fine. So it is used for that. But yeah, cameras are better, _2 better, low light.
It's
processor's faster.
There's
always
nothing really.
The screen is different now. The notch is cooler. Satellite's actually important. That'll probably
Do
save
you
it
think
for people.
like what do you think will be like the next actual big thing they
They'll make it round again.
What?
They'll make it round again.
Oh, round the edge off again?
Yeah, they'll just keep flipping back.
Yeah, why not?
You make it round, you make it square. You make it
I
round.
think they're gonna get
That's what
rid of.
Toyota does.
That's true. I think they are gonna get rid of the charging port.
Yeah, they'll get rid of the
And
charging
then
port.
and then that's it. Like, what else do you do?
The iPhone 16, they'll get rid of the charging port. It'll
But-
just be MagSafe.
The only thing that's preventing them from doing that is they are going to have to figure out a way for you to transfer data through a MagSafe chip.
Yeah,
Because that
either that or they'll have to open up Bluetooth file
Well-
sharing to other devices. Which, to be clear, AirDrop is just Bluetooth file sharing with a fancy name. That is literally what it is. Windows computers can do it with Android devices. It's just not called a fancy name.
But no, they cannot be the people who have set the standard for you cannot connect things to your phone via cables anymore.
Yeah, because with the headphone jack, like
That's headphones.
there existed a solution to the problem before they did it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, when it first happened, it was really jarring. It
Yeah.
sucked because there weren't a lot of good Bluetooth headphones out there. Now there are, and it's fine. But there is, to date, no good replacement for transferring
Yeah.
files via cable.
And not large files.
Not big files. Well, except AirDrop, but that only works with
And
Apple
half the
devices.
time the connection fails.
And
so
half the time it like gives up and you have to restart one of the devices or both because it's
Yeah.
dumb. But that's the only real
They can't-
solution.
yeah.
And that's not on Windows devices,
Yeah.
which as much as Apple likes to pretend human advancement is based around how good the Apple products are at that time.
It's really based
It's
on how
not.
everyone else
And there
does.
are people that use devices that are not Apple products, but still use iPhones
Yeah.
and need them to be able to work with each other. And right now, one of the only ways that that happens is via cable.
Yeah. So, iPhone. Good for iPhone. All right.
Yep, that's been the Apple thing.
All right. Thank you, everybody, as always, for listening and watching the show. If you are watching here on YouTube, we are available on all audio platforms.
All of them.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever you listen
Except
to.
YouTube Music. They don't have podcasts on YouTube Music for some reason.
Well, it's because that's what you don't know YouTube's for. If you want to watch the show and you're listening to it, you can watch the show on YouTube, youtube.com/the McDoncast.
And you can watch it on
And
Spotify.
The video version is also on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify and you just open the app and you don't close it, it'll switch away.
You can see
you
our
can just
faces.
watch the video. So that's the preferable way to do it because you can also swipe out of the tab and still listen to it on the
Now, we'll have dumb ads because AdBlock doesn't work on Spotify.
That's true.
But, you know, do what you got to do with what you got.
But we don't make any money from those ads.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So block them.
so we're
'Cause we only
available
get
everywhere. You can follow us on Twitter at McDonaldMedia and Instagram at the McDoncast. Sure, we don't post on Instagram.
But I think the last time we posted was
Yeah.
when we wrapped Karate Steve 2.
Yep. You can watch Sam stream on McDonald Streams,
Yes,
and
McDonald streams on Twitch. Check it out.
you can follow
pretty much every day.
you can follow the YouTube channel Brian's Life for Pat reviews, which
Never
haven't done in
happened
a
because
while
there haven't been any
because
movies.
there's nothing out. All right, see you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.